mistaking a billionaire for a gigolo. It's hot. Why does it feel like I'm burning up? Charlotte Wint felt like she had been aimlessly walking in the desert for a very long time. All she wanted was to quench her thirst. A man's icy lips covered hers as he devoured her, giving her temporary respite from the heat. She reached out and flung her arms around his neck, sucking his lips greedily. Loud moans and pants soon resounded around the room. Their shadows on the wall opposite overlapped with a burning passion. As the light was dim, Charlotte couldn't see the man's face clearly. The only thing that occurred to her was how beastly he was in bed. He savagely took her until dawn. When dawn broke, he left. Charlotte opened her eyes in a daze. She saw a blurry image of a man's back and the vicious wolf head tattoo on the small of his back. It was a tattoo of a howling wolf with its jaw wide opened, like it was going to devour its prey any time. She felt her heart racing in fear at the sight of that tattoo. Charlotte had a dream. In it, she had turned into a vine that was entwined around a colossal tree, unable to break free. When she regained consciousness, her body was aching terribly. Charlotte sat up in bed with one hand on her head, trying to soothe her splitting headache. She saw the mess on the bed and a torn men's shirt on the ground. Freezing in shock, she racked her brains trying to remember last night's events. At her engagement party, her fiancé had betrayed her. She was on the verge of breaking down when her cousin, Luna White, brought her to Sultry Night to drink her sorrows away. Utterly wasted, she announced she wanted to take revenge on her fiancé. Luna immediately arranged a male escort for her. As last night's events hit her, Charlotte clutched her chest in shock. Oh God, I lost my virginity to a stranger. She grabbed her hair in frustration. After a long time, she finally snapped out of her trance and hurriedly put on her clothes. When she rushed out of the hotel, a bunch of reporters clamored around her. Accompanied by the blinding camera flashes were the reporters' harsh questions. Miss Wint, is it true you spent the night with a male escort from Sultry Night because the Sterlings called off the engagement? Miss Wint, are you aware that the male escort is a transvestite? Miss Wint, did you know your father has gone bankrupt? Miss Wint, we've just received news that your father had committed suicide. He jumped off his company's building. Charlotte's mind went blank as if she had just been struck by lightning. At once, she ran out but was knocked out cold by a car. The next morning, the headlines were ablaze with the news of Charlotte and her father, richest man in H City. Richard Wint goes bankrupt and commits suicide. Hector Sterling. Dumps, daughter of Richard Wint. Charlotte Wint spends night at club with transvestite male escort. Both pieces of breaking news immediately made it to the headlines. Once a wealthy heiress, Charlotte became a despicable and immoral B** overnight. She had lost everything from her family to her reputation. 10 months later, loud cries from babies could be heard in an unremarkable clinic in the countryside. Mrs. Barry held a baby in her arms as she rushed up to Charlotte elatedly. Miss, congratulations. You gave birth to triplets, 2 boys and a girl. 4 years later, at H City's train station, Charlotte arrived in the city with her kids and Mrs. Barry. The plump Mrs. Barry was holding 2 big pieces of luggage, heaving as she walked. Charlotte had a denim backpack slung on her shoulder as she squeezed out of the busy train station with her 3 kids. To others, they looked like a poor family from the countryside coming to the city to depend on their relatives. Out of my way, country bumpkin. A woman wearing a fur coat shoved Mrs. Barry away harshly and insulted her. Charlotte was about to reprimand that woman when a fleet of luxury cars came to a stop beside her. Before anyone could react, dozens of bodyguards alighted their vehicles and formed 2 neat rows. Giving a deep bow, they called out in unison, "Welcome back, Mrs. Sterling." Hearing the name Sterling, Charlotte glanced at the convoy and saw Sterling's crest on the cars. Are they here for me? She grew excited at that thought. Could it be that Hector never betrayed me? Did he call off our engagement because he had no other choice back then? Now that he knows I'm back, he must be here to pick me up. Miss, is Mr. Sterling here to pick us up? A delighted Mrs. Barry was about to step forward when two bodyguards pushed them away rudely. In the next moment, a graceful woman dressed in expensive clothing walked out, flanked by an entourage. Charlotte's lips parted in surprise. Isn't this Luna White? Luna was clad in a designer suit. She looked more elegant than she was 4 years ago. Her fingers were curled around a little hand belonging to a boy around the same age as Charlotte's triplets. Mrs. Sterling, Timothy, this way, please. The bodyguards greeted them politely. I will never take the train again. It's filthy and full of commonalties, declared Luna, covering her nose with her handkerchief in disdain. Yes, yes. If it weren't for the weather, Mr. Sterling wouldn't have let you and Timothy suffer. The bodyguards escorted Luna and the little boy into a car. Both Luna and her son were so arrogant they didn't even glance around them. Thus, they failed to notice Charlotte in the crowd. What is going on? Mrs. Barry recognized Luna and blurted out, Isn't that your cousin? Is she married to Mr. Sterling now? I think so. As the Sterling's convoy drove away, Charlotte recalled Hector's promise in the past. He said I'll be his only bride in this life. But now he's married to my cousin. They even have a son this big. Tears prickled at Charlotte's eyes as her nose burned. Mommy, what's wrong? When the kids spotted Charlotte's red-rimmed eyes, all three of them surrounded her and voiced their concerns. I'm fine. Wiping her eyes dry, Charlotte knelt down and pulled the three of them in for a hug. Mommy, don't be sad. When I grow up, I'll buy a big car for you. Then you won't have to suffer anymore, offered her eldest son, Robbie. He thought she was upset because someone had bullied her. Mommy, who bullied you? Let me beat them up. Jamie, the second boy, waved his fists adorably and puffed up his cheeks. Ellie, the youngest of the triplets, rubbed her cheek against Charlotte's and comforted her. Mommy, don't cry. Don't cry, don't cry. Suddenly, a green head poked out of Ellie's pocket. It belonged to a cheeky parrot that was glancing around curiously at this moment. No, I'm not crying. Charlotte inhaled sharply and put on a smile. Come on, let's go home. Yay, let's go. Charlotte gave them a kiss each before slinging the backpack over her shoulder again and heading out to hail a cab. She used to be a wealthy heiress with an entourage wherever she went, but now she had to queue up to hail a cab with Mrs. Barry and her kids, not to mention being heavily loaded with their baggage. As all of them couldn't fit in one cab, Mrs. Barry had to take a separate cab by herself. The sky was dark, signaling the arrival of a storm. Hoping to avoid it, the cab driver was speeding anxiously along the road when suddenly he rammed into a Rolls-Royce up ahead. The cab driver's face turned pale instantly and got down from his cab to check the situation. Charlotte sat in the passenger's seat and looked out of the window, snapping her brows together. It was a limited edition Rolls-Royce Phantom. There were only 3 units in C Nation and 35 worldwide. Even if it were a minor scratch, the cab driver would have to compensate a substantial amount of money, which might cause him to go bankrupt. The conflict was going to be a hassle and would probably take a long time. Looking up, Charlotte noticed the sky had turned a gloomy gray. The storm was about to hit any time. She didn't want her kids to get soaked in the rain, especially Ellie, who had been physically weak since young. The little girl would definitely catch a cold if the rain got to her. Robbie, Jamie, Ellie, stay in the car. I'll go down and see what's happening, Charlotte told her children before getting off the cab. Mommy, be careful, the kids yelled out unanimously. Fifi the parrot poked its head out of Ellie's pocket again, curiously. Ellie gave it a tiny snack and petted its fluffy head gently. Fifi, hold on tight. We'll be home soon. Sir, I'm sorry, I didn't hit your car on purpose. The cab driver was explaining nervously. It was the passenger's fault. She has 3 kids and a good deal of baggage. My cab is overloaded, so I accidentally bumped into your car. When he saw Charlotte, he immediately pointed at her. You're responsible for this. Huh? Why? Charlotte was about to retort when the window of the Rolls-Royce rolled down. Forget it, the president is busy. The man seated in the passenger seat spoke as he swept a glance over Charlotte. Yes. The man in suit nodded and told the cab driver to drive carefully next time before leaving. Charlotte gazed instinctively at the back seat of the Rolls-Royce when the driver opened the door. To her surprise, she saw a half-naked man with his back to her. A snarly wound snaked across his back as blood trickled down onto the wolf head tattoo on the small of his back. Wolf head tattoo? The wolf head tattoo. Charlotte's eyes widened in disbelief. She stared at the tattoo wordlessly as her heart jumped to her throat. The ferocious wolf was gazing at her, its eyes stained bright red by the man's blood, looking ever so bloodthirsty. It's him. It really is him. Move out of the way. The cab driver gave Charlotte an abrupt push, causing her to topple to the ground. When she looked up again, the Rolls-Royce had disappeared from sight. Charlotte felt her head buzzing as she stared at the empty road ahead. Was that him in the car just now? The kid's father? Wasn't he a gigolo at sultry night? Why was he in that expensive car with that horrible wound? Hey, why did you push my mommy? Jamie waved his fists angrily at the cab driver. Brat, stop yelling at me. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have gotten this unlucky, cursed the cab driver. You were the one speeding before hitting that car. That's none of our business, Robbie retorted in his bubbly voice. As your passengers, we're not responsible for your mistake. You violated the traffic law. We can file a complaint against you. Yes, you bullied Mommy. I will ask the police to arrest you. Ellie pouted furiously and pointed at someone in the middle of the road. There's a traffic police. Fifi, who was perched on her shoulder, chirped out instantly. Traffic police, traffic police. What a nuisance. Get off. I refuse to bring you to your destination anymore. The cab driver proceeded to open his trunk and threw their baggage in the middle of the road before leaving in a huff. Hey, how could you? Charlotte picked up her baggage clumsily and brought the kids to the side of the road. Meanwhile, the man in the back seat of the Rolls-Royce, Zachary Nacht, looked up and glanced at the rearview mirror. That woman looks familiar. Where have I seen her before this? Mr. Nacht, I'll inject the anesthetic now, said the doctor who was dealing with his wound. No need. The man was reading a file in his hand. His wound was bleeding profusely, but he wasn't bothered at all. This may sting a little then. I'm going to stitch your wound up. Frowning, the doctor started stitching the wound up. As there was no anesthetic involved, the doctor was more nervous than usual. The man's tan skin glinted under the light icily. His muscles contracted from the immense pain, but his expression remained the same. On Monday morning, Charlotte sent the kids to kindergarten with Mrs. Barry before she went to Divine Corporation. For the past few days, she had blasted her resume out to 35 companies. 17 of them called her for an interview, but they either rejected her or asked her to wait for their decision. Only one company offered her a job, the legendary Divine Corporation. Strange. The SMEs didn't want to hire me, but why did the corporate giant in the industry, Divine Corporation, call me instead? When she arrived at the HR department, she finally realized whose plan it was. It's you. Long time no see, miss. Wesley Holt greeted her with an evil smile. You're still pretty after all these years. Wesley Holt, my father fired you from Wint Corporation and left orders that you are not to step into H City for the rest of your life. How dare you return? Charlotte knew who he was. Wesley used to be the vice president of Wint Corporation. He tried to take advantage of her, so Richard fired him. She never thought she'd see him again after 4 long years. The Wint family is over the hill. Do you think you're still the rich heiress? Wesley snickered. You're nothing. I am the one who gives you this job. Giving him a glare, Charlotte spun on her heels and left. Charlotte, this is your final chance. If you walk out from this door, I guarantee you won't find a job in H City unless you are willing to become a hostess in a bar, Wesley uttered arrogantly. Furious, Charlotte stormed out of his office. I will never give in to someone like him. When she exited the building, a crowd had formed at the entrance. There was a middle-aged man with gasoline poured all over his body. He was holding a lighter, trying to threaten everyone. Stay away. I want to meet Zachary Nacht, now. The staff stayed away while the bodyguards were on alert. A few higher-ups tried to persuade him. Mr. Looney, calm down. We can talk this out. Calm down? Do you know what he did to me? I accidentally offended him and he made me bankrupt overnight. How could I calm down? Gaston Looney exclaimed. At his words, Charlotte was reminded of her father, Richard. I still don't understand how Wint Corporation went bust suddenly. We were doing so well. I didn't even get to see Father before he died. Did someone sabotage Father back then? Mr. Nacht is here, someone shouted. Charlotte looked up and saw a Rolls-Royce Phantom coming to a stop. The bodyguards swarmed toward the car and cleared a path. Seeing that, the crowd made way for him. Gaston rushed to the car and stood in front of it. Zachary Nacht, I demand an explanation today, he shouted. Everyone fell silent and gazed at the black Rolls-Royce nervously. The most horrifying and influential person in H City is in that car. Charlotte saw a figure in the back seat looking at his phone without a care in the world. His driver and bodyguard in the passenger seat remained seated, waiting for his instruction. A heavy silence hung in the air. The expressionless man then made a casual gesture. Immediately, the vehicle sped ahead with every intention to hit Gaston. The onlookers were dumbfounded, let alone Gaston. He froze on the spot in disbelief at the other party's callousness. The car was about to hit him when Charlotte rushed forward and pulled him back. At that, the man in the car looked up and noticed Charlotte. A complicated look flashed across his gaze at the sight of her. As Charlotte and Gaston fell onto the ground together, the crowd collectively gasped in shock. Charlotte's arm was throbbing painfully, but when she looked up, the Rolls-Royce Phantom was long gone. Almost instantly, the security guards rushed over and detained Gaston. Zachary Nacht, I curse you. You'll die a horrible death, he yelled desperately. Soon, the guard stuffed a cloth into his mouth to stop him from yelling more and dragged him away like a dead dog. Charlotte stared after him with sorrow. Father told me that the business world is like a battlefield, but it looks like hell to me. A careless mistake will cause one to sink into an endless quicksand. The mysterious man in the Phantom is none other than the devil incarnate who controls everyone's fate. Alas, the poor have to work for the devil even though they are barely surviving. The moment Charlotte left Divine Corporation's building, she received a text from the bank informing her of the successful transcation to the kindergarten, amounting to $180,000. Her balance in the account was $3,988. Ah, it's expensive to bring up kids nowadays. The triplets' school fees plus meal allowance amount to $180,000. The rest isn't even enough to buy formula milk for them. What should I do? After battling with her own thoughts for a long while, Charlotte turned and entered Divine Corporation once again. It's just Wesley. He won't do anything in broad daylight, right? The man's right. I'm no longer the rich heiress. I need to support my family and the kids. Pride isn't important right now. Charlotte was waiting for the elevator in the lobby when many bodyguards appeared, escorting a man to the VIP elevator. Everywhere that man went, people would bow and greet him politely. "Good morning, Mr. Nacht." As she was far away and not tall enough, she didn't manage to see what he looked like. But that man was obviously Zachary Nacht, the president of Divine Corporation. Why does his figure seem familiar to me? Shaking her head, she chided herself for being starstruck. Why would I be reminded of that gigolo every time I meet a tall and muscular man? He's the president of Divine Corporation and an influential and ruthless man. There's no way he's a gigolo at sultry night. Mr. Nacht, the one who pulled Gaston Looney away, was an onlooker. No, she has just registered as our new employee 5 minutes ago as a secretary on the 13th floor. Her name is Charlotte Wint, reported Ben Nacht. His boss said nothing as he scrawled his signature on a document. The man only replied with a grunt after he was done with his work. Charlotte would be paid $8,000 monthly during her probation period, including basic insurance. Her salary would increase to $10,000 once she passed probation. After going through the entry procedures, Charlotte was counting silently whether her salary was enough for her family's expenses. I'll need to spend $8,000 every month on the kids' formula milk alone. That's not including our expenses. She was deep in worry when a few other employees came to welcome her. "Hello, Charlotte. Welcome to the administration department." "Oh, thank you." Charlotte shook hands with them warmly. This was her first official job, so she knew how important it was to build a good relationship with her colleagues. "As usual, we'll have a welcome party for you. Is that okay?" "Of course. Dinner's on me." I like how smart you are. We'll leave right after work." "Sure." When it was time to get off work, Charlotte had some unfinished work, so her colleagues left and waited for her downstairs. After finishing the paperwork, she grabbed her bag and headed to the elevator. But before she could reach it, the doors closed right in front of her. At the same time, the doors to the VIP elevator parted. She scurried in without hesitation. "This is the president's private elevator. Please leave right away," the bodyguard reprimanded her. "Huh?" Before Charlotte could react, the mysterious man in the elevator made a gesture. His bodyguard received his order and stopped driving her out. Charlotte looked back, but immediately turned away. It's the devil incarnate, Zachary Nacht. All of a sudden, it felt like the surrounding temperature had dropped a few degrees. The man was tall and looked like a Greek god. He stood behind her imposingly and exuded an intimidating aura. Charlotte bit her lip hard. She was subconsciously holding her breath. Through the reflection of the mirror in the elevator, she saw the man gazing at her sharply. He looks like a lion staring at its prey. Hurry, hurry. Charlotte gazed at the number flashing on the elevator screen, hoping to quickly escape this suffocating place. 13, 12, 11, 10. She counted the numbers silently, her heart thumping furiously. Unbeknownst to her, Zachary was inching nearer to her. Ding! Finally, the elevator reached the ground floor. Once the doors opened, she scurried out. She was in such a hurry that she tripped and fell down. Splat! She collapsed face down like a frog. Everyone outside gasped in shock. A few employees who had just exited the normal elevator covered their mouths and sniggered. Charlotte was so ashamed that she wanted to dig a hole and hide in it. She scrambled to her feet clumsily and ran out, covering her face. Behind her, the man looked at her retreating figure as a smirk flitted across his lips. Charlotte thought the welcome party would be a dinner in a restaurant, but it turned out to be a drinking session at sultry night. To her surprise, Wesley was also there. This is the administration department's gathering. Why is someone from the HR department here? Charlotte wasn't happy about it, but her colleagues were present, so she wasn't about to chase him out rudely. Wesley had already introduced himself to her colleagues. He also ordered bottles of expensive liquor, which were currently placed around the table. A male colleague spoke up. "Mr. Holt, this liquor costs over $8,000. We shouldn't be doing this to our new colleague." "You don't know?" Wesley grinned. "Charlotte is an heiress. She's rich. Back then, she could pay for everyone's drinks here in Sultry Night. These are nothing to her." "Oh, seriously?" A few female colleagues got curious. They surrounded Charlotte and bombarded her with questions. "Charlotte, you're an heiress? How unexpected." "No, of course you are." Wesley cut her off rudely and snickered. "The only daughter of the richest man in H City, Richard Wint. You've heard of him, right?" "Richard Wint? The one who jumped off a building 4 years ago?" a man uttered. No wonder the surname Wint sounded really familiar to me. "I think I read the news. The Sterlings called off their son's engagement to Miss Wint, and then she came to Sultry Night and spent the night with the transvestite Gigolo. Was that true?" Her colleagues were staring at her, their gazes a mixture of curiosity, excitement, and amazement as they waited for her reply. Charlotte felt suffocated by them. Refusing to take it anymore, she stood up to leave. The manager of the administration department, Roy Young, stopped her and chided the rest. "What are you all doing? Is this how you treat our new colleague? We are going to work together in the future, so please stop teasing her." "Okay, sorry." They apologized to Charlotte at once. The moment Charlotte met Wesley's amused gaze, she escaped from the private room without a word. She wanted to escape the past and start her life anew, but the past kept haunting her. "I can never get rid of it, can I?" Charlotte took a deep breath to calm down. "What's wrong? Was that so unbearable?" Wesley came after her and sneered. "How would you survive, huh?" "You did it on purpose." Charlotte glowered at him. "You deliberately hired me and made me treat my colleagues to dinner so I'd be humiliated. You're doing this to take revenge on me." "That's right," Wesley answered, nodding with a grin. "I ordered food and drinks worth a few $100,000 just for you." "Hey," Charlotte gritted her teeth in anger. "I only have $3,000 left in my account. How on earth am I going to foot the bill?" "Don't tell me you can't afford to pay the bill." Wesley came closer to her intentionally. "You can ask for my help. As long as you agree to spend a night with me, I'll foot the bill. With my help, no one will dare to bully you at work and—" Slap. Before Wesley could finish, Charlotte gave him a tight slap and yelled, "Scum!" Wesley touched his cheek. Instead of getting mad, he chuckled like a pervert. "This is the first time you've touched me. Your hand is so soft." "You are a disgusting piece of shit," Charlotte stalked off angrily. "If you fail to pay the bill today, your colleagues might refuse to befriend you anymore. Imagine them being disgusted by you so much that they start ostracizing you." Wesley shouted behind her. "Do you want to risk losing this job?" Charlotte walked along the hallway in dejection. "I can't lose this job, but where can I get a few $100,000 to foot the bill?" She was deep in thought when a familiar figure appeared in a private room ahead. A man was seated on the sofa with his straight back to her. His white shirt was tied around his waist, revealing a vicious wolf head tattoo and a long scar on his back. It's him. Charlotte froze in shock. Her heart pounded faster than ever. The last time she saw the man in his car, she was so nervous and had held her breath dazedly, but he left before she could say a word. But now, the man who had destroyed her life was right in front of her eyes. As she gazed at his back, sudden flashbacks appeared in her head. Upon waking up in the hospital back then, she failed to see her father for the last time. She could only look at her father's stiff corpse in the crematorium. At the funeral, her relatives and friends pointed fingers at her, cursing her harshly and chasing her away. As she got pregnant before marriage, people looked down on her when she attended her monthly prenatal checkups at the unremarkable clinic in the countryside. When she gave birth to her babies in the hospital, she nearly died of excessive bleeding because she was pregnant with triplets. It was all that man's fault. Fury overwhelmed her heart. She clenched her hands into fists and rushed into the room. "Hey, get out. This is a private area." A man in black standing in the corner spoke sternly. The mysterious man on the sofa raised his hand. At a silent order, the man in black left the room silently. Charlotte was stunned. "Oh, so gigolos are rich enough to afford bodyguards now? Looks like he has been enjoying life for the past few years." Charlotte bit back her agitation and inched nearer carefully. "Is it you?" The man buttoned his shirt and turned around slowly. On his face was a black masquerade mask covering half of his face. The mask exposed his thin lips. His steely and enigmatic gaze gleamed in the dark. There was a gold fire emblem on the top right of the mask, which appeared menacing and wild to her. Charlotte took a step back instinctively. Why is he so imposing? Isn't he just a gigolo? Did I get the man wrong? No, I'm right. There's that unmistakable tattoo. "Don't you remember me?" Charlotte urged. 4 years ago, I was drinking in room K13 when my friend requested a male escort for me, who turned out to be you. We went to Storm Hotel together. "There is a red mole on your chest." The man narrowed his gaze at her. "We did it 7 times that very night." "I'm gonna kill you." Charlotte dashed ahead and raised her arm to give him a slap. The man grabbed her arm swiftly and pushed her onto the sofa. "How dare you?" "Scum!" Charlotte leaped onto him like a wild cat, waving her arms around to scratch him. "It's all your fault. You ruined my life," she roared. The man placed his hand on her head, keeping her at a distance away. She couldn't reach him even if she waved her hands wildly. He stared at her coolly like she was nothing but a clown. "Get the facts right. You were the one who requested my service. It was consensual. You make it seem like I had raped you." Charlotte bristled. "You're an unprofessional gigolo. You didn't even put on a condom when you served your client. F***CZZU. You deserve to be castrated." The man's gaze turned dangerous. "Did you get pregnant?" Charlotte stiffened at his question. Her babies flashed across her mind. "Yes, I got pregnant and gave birth to triplets, but you scum. You've never been a responsible father." "Answer me," he demanded. "Yes, I got pregnant," Charlotte blurted out. She immediately changed her mind and corrected herself. "But I aborted it later. I won't give birth to a shameless gigolo's child." If someone else finds out the kid's father is a male escort at a club, they'll be ridiculed at their kindergarten. "No, I must keep it a secret. No one is to find out about this." "Good." The man nodded in satisfaction. He reached into his pocket to retrieve something. "The cheek of you. I can't believe you're still working here as a gigolo. How many innocent ladies are you going to harm? I'll file a complaint with your manager now." Charlotte stomped away furiously. The man's hand holding the check froze. Furrowing his brows, he left the check in his pocket. At the door, Charlotte received a call from Wesley. "Charlotte, if you don't show up, the rest are going to leave. Don't bother showing up for work at Divine Corporation tomorrow." "Go to hell." Charlotte hung up, her body shaking in rage. Why are there scums everywhere? They are both disgusting scoundrels. Wait a minute. Suddenly, something occurred to her. That gigolo ruined my life. I can't give up just like that. I can't let him live luxuriously when my kids and I are suffering. At that thought, Charlotte's jaw hardened. She barged into the private room again and demanded, "Stupid gigolo, you ruined my life. You must bear the responsibility." The man was sipping on his wine when she made that announcement. Looking up icily, he replied, "Oh? How do you propose I do that?" "By compensating me," Charlotte declared sternly. "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been this miserable." If it weren't for him, I would have met father for the last time before he died. If it weren't for him, my reputation wouldn't have suffered such an irreversible damage. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have become a single mother. But my kids are still adorable to me. Wait, I'm demanding money from him now. Be stern and forceful. How much do you want? The man lounged on the sofa arrogantly as he buttoned his shirt up. His sexy abs were gleaming alluringly in the dimly lit room. Charlotte was momentarily dazed by his abs. She swiftly regained her composure and cleared her throat, then held up 3 fingers. 300 million? Ha, if you can pay me 300 million, I'd wake up smiling in my dreams, Charlotte scoffed. She continued, You're just a gigolo? Why are you so cocky? Listen, I demand 3 months of your salary. From today onwards, give me half of your nightly earnings. After all, I can't even afford to buy formula milk for the kids now. Luckily, I bumped into this gigolo and I have nowhere to turn to. I need to fleece him to make him pay for what he had done to me. Also, he needs to bear some responsibility as the kid's father. 3 months will be enough to get me through this hurdle. After my probation period, my salary will increase to 10,000. We will be able to survive then. By then, we will go our separate ways. How much do you think I can earn in one night? The man twirled his glass lightly and shot her an amused glance. What if no one requests for me? You're quite good-looking. If you're willing to work hard, you might end up as Sultry Night's top male escort. Charlotte scanned his figure carefully before her gaze landed on his groin. I hear normal escorts get paid 4,000 to 5,000 for each round of service and 8,000 to 10,000 for overnight service. You can earn at least 10,000 per night, right? So I just need to give you 5,000 every night? The man's smirk deepened. You're easily satisfied, huh? Of course not, Charlotte retorted hurriedly. I mean, at least 5,000. At least 5,000 every night. To make up for that mistake you did that night, you need to work hard to compensate me, got it? Money isn't a problem, said the man carelessly. Curious, he inquired, but how did you recognize me? Through the wolf head tattoo on your waist. I won't get it wrong. Charlotte was afraid he might deny it. So, you don't know what I look like? The man's gaze was penetrating. Duh, Charlotte replied in exasperation. I was so drunk that night that I didn't even know what you looked like. The man sipped on his wine and smiled, saying nothing. Don't try to shirk your responsibility. Otherwise, I'll file a complaint with the manager. Charlotte added, Oh, I heard you're also a transvestite. If they find out about that, you'll lose your job for sure. The man stiffened and narrowed his eyes dangerously. Transvestite? Charlotte harumphed. Are you scared? She took a pen from her bag and wrote out a simple contract. Here, I've made it all clear. From today onwards, you need to compensate me with half of your daily salary for 3 months. Sign here and stamp your thumbprint here. It's a done deal. She stuffed the pen in his hand. Am I the only gigolo you got? The man gazed at the scrawny words on the contract and raised a brow. Don't tell me you have a stack of these contracts at home. Are you crazy? Do you think I'm that desperate? Sleeping with you was an accident. You were the only man I've ever slept with, Charlotte blurted out angrily. When she realized what she had just said, her face flushed embarrassment. The corners of the man's lips lifted in a smirk. He signed on the contract without a word, but his signature was an illegible squiggle at the bottom of the page. Charlotte thought that wasn't enough and pulled his palm to her. She bit on his thumb, hard. When a drop of blood trickled out, she stamped his finger on the contract immediately. Ha! Now the contract was valid and Charlotte was chuffed. There's no going back on your words now. All right, give me your salary for today. I haven't started working for tonight yet. He pulled her into his embrace and wrapped his arm around her slender waist. Brushing his lips across her cheek, he breathed, "Why don't you be my first client for today? I'll give you a 50% discount." Don't even think about it. Charlotte struggled out of his embrace and pushed him aside. Stay away from me. From now on, your job is to work hard and pay your debt. Are you that willing to let me sell my body? The man inquired, staring deep into her eyes. You're just my cash cow. Why wouldn't I be willing? Charlotte whipped her phone out. Let's exchange numbers to stay in contact. The man took her phone and entered his number. He was about to save his name when Charlotte snatched it away from him, saving his name as Gigolo in debt. Upon seeing that, his brows snapped together in displeasure. I'll send you my bank account. Remember to bank in your salary before 12 a.m. Every day, got it? Reminded Charlotte as she typed furiously on her phone. Ding. The man received a text. He clicked into the text and saw the account number she had just sent him. He smirked. This is interesting. Right then, Charlotte's phone began to ring. Seeing it was Wesley, she answered it and yelled in frustration, Stop pushing me. I don't have money to foot the bill. I don't want the job at Divine Corporation anymore. Will that do? She hung up promptly, her face flushed with anger. As she had just lost her new job, she slumped onto the sofa in dejection. Spotting the wine glass in front of the man, she grabbed it and finished the wine in one gulp. Charlotte let out a burp and complained, It's all your fault. I've just lost my job because of you. It's hard to find a job nowadays. I can't believe that despicable man did that to me. The man asked. Did someone at Divine Corporation frame you? You won't understand. Charlotte was about to ignore him when something occurred to her. Oh, can you pay a bill around a few $100,000 here? Sure. Great. Charlotte told the man to pay the bill, which was over $183,000. Her heart was aching over the ridiculously expensive bill, but she had to keep her job. After all, she still had to support her kids. Thanks. I'll deduct the amount from your compensation. She went to her colleagues and informed them. I've settled the bill. Did you have fun tonight? Yes, thank you, Charlotte. Her colleagues cheered. Did you seriously foot the bill? I heard it was over $180,000. A colleague inquired in disbelief. Yes, it was pretty expensive. I maxed out a few cards to pay the bill. I'll be eating bread for the next few months. Charlotte let out a bitter chuckle. But it's worth it as long as you had fun tonight. Well, a few other colleagues felt bad for her and glanced at Wesley. Charlotte's being humble. The money isn't even enough for her to buy a bag. There's no way she'd maxed out her cards. Wesley snickered. But anyway, thank you. Next time it's on me. Charlotte was upset at how despicable the scum was, but she couldn't retort as she needed this job. Ignoring him, she sent her colleagues off. Charlotte, I drove here. Let me give you a ride back. It's all right. I can take a cab. Thank you, though. When Charlotte came out of the private room, the man was no longer at the bar. He must be with a client now. He just can't stay idle, huh? She sent him a text. I'm leaving now. Work hard and earn more money. The faster you pay your debt, the faster you'll be set free. In the room, when Zachary received her text, the corners of his mouth turned up. What a foolish yet adorable woman. Mr. Noct, Pardis has just shown up. Ben, his bodyguard, came in and reported, I've sent someone to keep an eye on him. We'll find out who he'll contact. Remember, don't alert him. Got it. As Charlotte didn't receive a reply from him, she panicked. Is he trying to go back on his word? I'm still nearby. If he seriously has that intention, I can go back and look for him. She immediately called that number. Zachary was about to leave when his phone rang. He smiled subconsciously when he saw who it was. Hello? Why didn't you reply to my text? Are you trying to escape? Charlotte demanded. I'm busy earning money to pay my debt, explained Zachary, all immersed in his role. Someone asked for you? Charlotte asked excitedly. For one round or one night? How much did you earn? You seem really experienced at this, Zachary sneered. How many times have you hired gigolos? You're the only one, Charlotte retorted. Embarrassed by her sudden outburst, she coughed a few times before her voice grew stern. Stop changing the topic. How much did you earn? One night, 10,000, replied Zachary, arching his brows. He was at the peak of his business career, where everything felt dull to him. This stupid woman was giving his plain life more color and making it much more entertaining now. Standing aside, Ben was confused. Is Mr. Noct discussing a new collaboration? What does he mean by one night? Is 10,000 a code phrase or something? Great. Transfer 5,000 to me now. Charlotte was elated. Money, incoming money? I don't ask for payment in advance. I'll do that tomorrow morning, replied Zachary. The call was then disconnected. Charlotte was upset at how rude he was. Why did he hang up abruptly? Is he trying to go back on his word? Never mind. Since he signed the contract, answered my call, and even reported his earnings, I think he won't go back on his word. I'll just wait and see. Perhaps when I wake up, there will be money in my account. For the entire night, Charlotte tossed and turned in bed. She kept glancing at her phone. Nope, no new transfer. Nope, not yet. It's just 2 a.m. Wait a bit more. Charlotte had just fallen asleep at 6 a.m. when a text arrived. She grabbed her phone underneath her pillow. It was a text informing her that a transfer of 5,000 had been made to her account. She immediately leapt up in excitement. Awesome, the first payment is in. She then quickly sent a text. I just received the money. Good job. Work harder tonight. Gigolo in debt. I just remembered I paid the bill last night. You said you'll deduct it from my debt. Charlotte, I'm afraid you'll spend the money elsewhere. Just transfer me the money daily and I'll deduct the 180,000 from your debt. Don't you worry. Gigolo. In debt. Okay, Charlotte. Work hard tonight too. If you do a good job, I'll buy you some supplements. Gigolo. In debt. After receiving the money, Charlotte was so overjoyed she couldn't go back to sleep. They had just moved from the countryside, so they still lacked a number of household supplies. As it was the weekend, she wanted to bring Mrs. Barry and the kids out shopping. Charlotte used to be a spoilt child too. Her father adored her and brought her up like a princess. Alas, life was hard to predict. After the downfall of the Wint family, Charlotte ended up as the mother of triplets. As a mother, she would keep tabs on the latest promotions to get the best deals when shopping for daily necessities. They arrived at Grand Plaza soon. Charlotte was dressed in a casual denim shirt. She kept her phone in her bum bag and rolled her sleeves up in preparation for war. Robbie, Jamie, Ellie, I'm going shopping. Stay with Mrs. Barry at the playground, all right? Don't wander off alone. I will be back soon. Okay, the kids replied in unison. Right then, the onlookers started taking videos and photos of the kids. A few young ladies were tittering and squealing. Oh, are they mixed-race babies? How adorable, so cute. Yes, look at their curly hair and bright eyes. Ah, they look like two princes and a princess in a fairy tale. I've never seen such good-looking kids. There's a parrot on the little girl's shoulder. Oh, it's nodding off. Ha ha, that's so cute. The kids would attract attention wherever they went, so every time they had to go somewhere crowded, Charlotte would make them wear face masks and hats to avoid too much attention. Please don't take photos and videos of us. This is an infringement of our image rights, Robbie reminded coolly. I can take selfies with pretty ladies. No selfies with boys, though. Jamie smirked. Only pretty ladies. Shh, you're disturbing Fifi. Ellie put a finger up to her lips. Fifi was nodding off on her shoulder. How adorable. Can we take a selfie with you? A few young ladies surrounded them. Nope, sorry, we don't do that. Robbie kept his cool. Okay, Robbie, Jamie, Ellie, I've bought the tickets. We can enter now. Mrs. Barry returned with the tickets and brought them into the playground. Charlotte went upstairs to a children's clothing brand on the 3rd floor. There was a sale happening there. She rushed in and grabbed a cart before squeezing into the crowd at the sales section. Right then, a team of men in black marched in authoritatively and ordered everyone to make way. The young mothers who were busy shopping immediately stopped. They glanced at the scene in disgust. Who is that? What a grand entrance. Wow, these bodyguards are all tall and hot. Any of them could be the top male escort at sultry night. At their words, Charlotte's heart sank. A male escort at sultry night. Is it Gigolo in debt? You're wrong. They are the bodyguards working for Divine Corporation's president, a mother with neat bangs answered smugly. My husband is working at Divine Corporation. The president has 18 bodyguards with a golden S logo on their shoulder. She added, I think the president is here, judging by the number of bodyguards. Wow, another mother chimed in dreamily. The bodyguards are hunks. I wonder how hot the president will be. Normally, people who hire handsome and tall bodyguards are short and ugly. That's right. Zachary's strikingly handsome features popped up in Charlotte's mind. Short and ugly? He is neither short nor ugly. The men in black set up a defense line in front of the Italian restaurant right opposite the shop and straightened their backs on alert. Soon, a tall and imposing man walked into the restaurant. Charlotte stared at his back from a distance. Indeed, it was Zachary Nacht, the president of Divine Corporation. For some reason, his back looked familiar to her. Where have I seen him before? Meanwhile, the kids were having a lot of fun in the playground. Mrs. Barry stayed with them the entire time. A few parents came to her and they started chatting animatedly. Jamie went to the restroom to pee. He was exiting the restroom with his hands in his pockets when he saw a trail of blood on the ground. His eyes immediately widened in surprise. Huh? Why is there blood on the floor? Curious, Jamie followed the blood trail and arrived at the storeroom where a wounded man in black was resting. Jamie came to a stop cautiously. The man in black was wearing a mask and cap which hid his entire face, but blood was trickling out of his wound nonstop. When he heard the footsteps, he immediately raised the knife in his grip viciously. Upon seeing that it was just a young boy, he relaxed visibly. Sir, do you need help? Jamie inquired politely. Get lost, brat, the man growled. Pouting, Jamie took out a cartoon Band-Aid from his pocket and handed it to the man. Here you go. The man rolled his eyes. He was bleeding badly, so this Band-Aid wouldn't be of help. You'd die of excessive bleeding. You should go to the doctor now, said Jamie before turning to leave. Jamie! Fifi flapped its wings and flew toward Jamie. Jamie raised his hand, allowing Fifi to perch safely on the back of his hand. As the pair walked out, they attracted everyone's attention. Hey, what a cute boy! He has a cute parrot, too. Oh. Go, search! Suddenly, a team of men in suits rushed in and started searching the area. Jamie swiveled his head and stared at the restroom. Could it be related to that man? He was in a daze when the man in black rushed out from the restroom and extended a bloodied hand. Then, he slipped something into Jamie's pocket and whispered in the boy's ear, Brat, I'll come back for it. Soon, the man disappeared into the stairwell. The team of men in suits immediately went after him. Jamie was stunned. Wow, was that a scene from a crime film? That was so cool, Snapping back to reality, he took out a small box from his pocket. When he opened it, there was a tiny golden chip about the size of a bean. Studying it carefully, he wondered, what could this be? It doesn't look like gold. I think it's some electronic stuff like the kind Robbie is obsessed with. Seed? Seed! Jamie was deep in thought when little Fifi's beak parted and ate the chip, thinking it was a seed. Jamie was dumbfounded. He immediately patted Fifi's green head and shouted, "Fifi, spit it out, spit it out." Fifi shrieked immediately. Instead of spitting it out, it swallowed the chip out of shock. Ah, Jamie freaked out at once. He tugged Fifi's tail and swung it around. "You can't eat that. Spit it out now." Fifi was seeing stars from Jamie's rough action. It rolled its eyes while its tongue lolled out weakly. "Ah, Jamie, what are you doing?" yelled Ellie. She rushed over and took Fifi from him. Cradling it in her arms carefully, she demanded, "Why did you bully Fifi? I'm going to tell Mommy." "No, Ellie." "Jamie, it's wrong to bully Fifi," said Robbie sternly. Fifi." Jamie pointed at himself before pointing at Fifi helplessly. Fifi's head was spinning as it lay in Ellie's arms, panting heavily. "Looks like none of them will believe me." Jamie had no choice but to keep it a secret. Zachary was sitting with his back against the door of the VIP room he was in, sipping on his wine elegantly in the Italian restaurant. His figure was imposing under the dim light. Ben rushed in to inform him, "Mr. Nacht, Pardus has escaped." The man's hand paused briefly as he icily uttered, "Useless." "Yes," said Ben, lowering his head guiltily. "Chip X holds the secret to our corporation's latest technology. If it gets leaked, the consequences will be horrible. We must get it back." "Yes," Ben answered. "I'll find Pardus within 3 days." Zachary stood up to leave, his majestic figure stunning everyone. A heavy silence hung in the air as all held their breaths. When he and his entourage arrived at the underground car park, he got into his Rolls-Royce Phantom without a word. The driver was about to drive away when Zachary called out, "Wait!" The driver hit the brakes immediately. Ben followed Zachary's gaze, spotting a little girl running past the rear of their car. She was nearly knocked over earlier. He immediately alighted the car. "Girl, why are you alone here?" "My Fifi flew downstairs. I'm going after it. Fifi, don't run. Stop." Ellie was about to pounce on the bird, but it flew into the car instead. She crawled into the car at once. Looking up, she was shocked to see a pair of cold eyes staring at her. He seems scary. Is he the bad guy Mommy always talks about? Ellie gazed at Zachary in fear and instinctively inched backward. Zachary was also gazing at the little girl, his heart softening. His stare was no longer as stony as it always was. What a cute little girl. She looks like a pretty doll with her puffy cheeks. Look, her eyes are shining like stars. Strangely, she feels familiar to me. I can feel myself softening up at the sight of her. Fifi was circling in the car, shrieking, "Ellie, Ellie, come over here at once." A frowning Ellie stretched her hand out and demanded, "If you keep acting up, I'll get mad." Alas, Fifi didn't perch on her little hand. It landed on Zachary's shoulder instead. Zachary's brows snapped together as he reached out to grab Fifi. Fifi immediately struggled and pooped on Zachary's blazer in fright. A few feathers floated around, accompanied by shocked silence. Ben froze. Even the bodyguards paled instantly. They knew what a clean freak Zachary was. The bird's dead meat. Indeed, Zachary's expression darkened. His grip on little Fifi tightened. Fifi's body stiffened from the increasing force. Its eyes rolled upward as it lolled its tongue out. "Ah, let go of Fifi." Ellie leaped on the man and tried to pry his hands off Fifi. Let go. Kid, Ben tried to pull her away. Staring at Ellie's flushed face and doll-like eyes, the menace in Zachary's gaze faded away. He slowly released his grip on the bird. Fifi flapped its wings frantically and returned to Ellie's embrace. Ellie caught the bird and glared at Zachary angrily before escaping from his car. "Hey, kid," Ben yelled after her, but she merely ignored him. Worried, he told a bodyguard, "Go after her and make sure she reunites with her family safely." Yes. The vehicle then slowly drove away. Zachary took off his blazer and patted the feathers away before wiping his hands with a piece of wet wipes. Ben scanned his boss's expression. He still looks stern, but that murderous glint in his gaze is gone. He couldn't help but lament, "What an adorable little girl." "She has an innocent gaze," Zachary commented, which was rare of him. "Yes. I wonder what kind of mother she has to give birth to such a lovely girl like her." Ellie was riding the escalator when she heard Charlotte calling her name. "Ellie, Ellie, Mommy, I'm here." Ellie ran over with Fifi in her arms. She launched herself into Charlotte's embrace like a rocket, causing the latter to stumble from her weight. "You gave me a scare." Charlotte hugged Ellie tightly and caressed her head anxiously. "Are you hurt? Did you meet any bad guys?" "I'm not hurt, but..." Ellie recalled that man in the car. Is he a bad guy? He looks like one, but Fifi pooped on his shoulder. He was angry, but he didn't kill Fifi. That means he's not a bad guy, right? "But what?" Charlotte urged. "Fifi pooped on a man," explained Ellie, gesturing with her chubby hands. "But that man didn't hurt Fifi." "I'm glad you're both fine. Don't wander around next time, get it?" "Okay." Not far away, the bodyguard waited until the little girl left with her mother before he walked away. As he was too far away, he only saw her back and her faded denim shirt. Monday was a busy day. The moment Charlotte arrived at the office, she buried herself in work and only got to stop when lunchtime arrived. She followed her colleagues from the administration department to the company's cafeteria on the 21st floor. They had just exited from the elevator when they bumped into Zachary. The man strode out of the elevator in an imposing manner, causing the air to solidify. The rest of his employees retreated to one side and looked at the ground silently. Charlotte peeked at him and met his icy glare without warning. She immediately looked down in a panic. Was Devil staring at me? "Don't mind me. Carry on," uttered Zachary. The employees were pleasantly surprised by their president's words. This was the first time they had heard him speak directly to them, so they were very much thrilled. Zachary sat down at a seat by the window. 2 bodyguards stood watch behind him as Ben left to order his meal. Charlotte peeked at him once again. The sunlight reflected off his body, encasing him in a golden glow like a Greek god. If only this man is the father of my triplets. Just as the thought flashed across her mind, Charlotte brushed it off immediately. She took her tray of food and followed her colleagues to their usual table. When she sat down, the annoying Wesley showed up. "Hello." Charlotte rolled her eyes and shifted sideways to keep a distance from him. "How could you eat so little?" teased Wesley. "Eat up. Our company's cafeteria serves a luxurious buffet for free. It's better than the ones at 5-star hotels." Ignoring him, Charlotte lowered her head and focused on her food. "Hey, why is Mr. Noct eating in the cafeteria today?" Charlotte's colleague Fiona asked. "I'm curious too. He never comes to our cafeteria," said Lily, another colleague. She peeked at the table opposite theirs and lowered her voice. "Due to his presence, we're all tensed up. Look how silent the whole cafeteria is now." "Yes, my hands are shaking." Yolanda dared not look up at all. "Ah, don't be nervous." Wesley seemed unfazed. "He might seem cold, but he's actually quite friendly." "Mr. Holt, you seem to know Mr. Noct well." A male colleague voiced his curiosity. I saw you greeting him last time. Of course. The president and I are close, replied Wesley. His voice trailed off as if hinting at a deeper meaning to his words. No wonder you got promoted so quickly in 6 months. Turns out you're friends with Mr. Noct. The male colleagues hurriedly buttered up to him. Mr. Holt, please take care of us in the future. Don't worry. As long as you're doing a good job, you'll get a promotion in no time, said Wesley smugly. Charlotte couldn't take it anymore. She took her tray and rose to her feet to leave. Wesley went after her. Charlotte, hold up! Annoyed, Charlotte's footsteps quickened. Wesley chased after her and stood in front of her. Why are you in a hurry? Let's walk together. Mr. Holt, I don't know you well. Before Charlotte could finish, someone bumped into her. She lurched forward from the force while her unfinished bolognese pasta splattered on Wesley's face. As the pasta streamed down his face, everyone gasped. Wesley stiffened, utterly stunned. He promptly regained his senses and wiped at the bolognese sauce on his face clumsily in anger. Charlotte burst out laughing. It seemed like a rude reaction, so she immediately apologized. I'm sorry, I didn't do that on purpose. Someone bumped into me and… When she whirled around to take a look, she realized that the person who had bumped into her was none other than Zachary. Zachary's expression was icy as he brushed past her. Charlotte stared at his back in a daze. Was he the one who bumped into me earlier? This is such a wide space, and with 4 bodyguards by his side at all times, how could he have bumped into me? Don't tell me. He did it on purpose. Don't you watch where you're going, Charlotte? Wesley roared at her, getting all worked up. I'm sorry. Charlotte pointed to the direction Zachary had disappeared and explained meekly. It was the president who bumped into me. That's why I accidentally… You're even pushing the blame onto… Mr. Holt, Ben interrupted Wesley and asked coldly, Are you saying that it's Mr. Noct's fault? No, I wouldn't dare. Wesley hastily explained. I meant her. No, I meant myself. I'm the one who's blind. That's more like it. Ben nodded with satisfaction, then solemnly reminded, Watch where you're going next time, especially in a restaurant. It's not good to waste food. Understood. Wesley lowered his head in submission. Seeing the look of embarrassment on Wesley's face, Charlotte cheered silently in her heart. This prick has finally run into a snag. He probably won't dare to harass me again from now on. When Zachary spied the way Charlotte was secretly rejoicing, his lips formed into a faint smile. His phone rang just when the elevator doors closed, and he picked it up immediately. Speak. Mr. Noct, we've caught Pardus, but he doesn't have the chip with him. He's probably hidden it somewhere else. I've used every method to force him into confessing, but he's remained tight-lipped thus far. We may have to resort to more extreme measures. A man like him has undergone hellish training. Torture won't work on him. Zachary ordered, Check the surveillance footage at the Grand Plaza and see if he passed it to his accomplices. Yes, I'll look into it immediately. By the time Charlotte got home from work, a scrumptious meal had already been prepared by Mrs. Barry. Soon, the family of 5 enjoyed their dinner together. Fifi flapped its wings and perched on Ellie's shoulder, rubbing its head against Ellie's chubby cheek. Ellie fed it a melon seed, but it didn't happily eat it like it usually did. Instead, it shook its head, struggling through a round of hiccups. Ellie looked at its food tray. Noticing that the food was completely untouched, she anxiously said, Mommy, Fifi hasn't eaten anything since last night and keeps having hiccups. Is it sick? What's wrong? Charlotte stroked Fifi's furry little head, but it looked completely listless. Maybe Fifi hasn't recovered from the shock it went through at the mall the other day? Mrs. Barry suggested. Bring it to see the doctor tonight. We'll do that. Charlotte nodded in agreement. Jamie looked at Fifi and furrowed his brows, hesitating for a while. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore and blurted out, "Mommy, actually, Fifi ate a gold thingy. That's why it feels uncomfortable." "Gold thingy?" Charlotte blinked in surprise. "Yeah, it was this big," Jamie indicated with his fingers. "About the same size as my pinky finger. I don't think we have a piece of gold like that in our house." Charlotte was puzzled. "Not in our house. When we were at the mall, a masked man in black gave it to me," Jamie explained. "Have you been watching too much cartoon?" Robbie rolled his eyes at Jamie in an adult-like manner. "It's true." Jamie quickly recounted the events of that day in detail. By the time he was done, everyone had dumbfounded looks on their faces. "Ha ha ha," Mrs. Barry cackled with laughter. "Jamie, your story is really entertaining." "See? Too much cartoon." Robbie rolled his eyes again and continued eating. "Why don't any of you believe me?" Jamie's cheeks were flushed red with anxiety. "Do you believe me, Mommy?" "I do." Charlotte filled his plate with more food. "We'll bring Fifi to see the doctor after we're done eating, okay?" "Yeah, let's bring Fifi to see the doctor first." Ellie was only concerned about her parrot and not the truth. Jamie pouted, feeling greatly aggrieved. After dinner, Charlotte and her 3 children brought Fifi to the vet. The doctor checked Fifi and said that it was indigestion, probably due to eating something wrong. Hence, the doctor prescribed some medicine to improve its bowel movement. Jamie pouted and thought to himself, When that gold thingy comes out of Fifi, all of you will know that I was telling the truth." Back at home, by the time Charlotte fed Fifi the medicine and tucked her children into bed, it was already past 9. She lay on her bed after taking a shower and sent a text to Gigolo, in debt. "How is business tonight?" He replied, "Not good. No one picked me." Charlotte became worried and typed a long message, teaching him how to flirt with rich women and talk business. "Don't always wear a mask and pretend to look cool. Even though some rich women dig cold and aloof men, there are also some who like bright and bubbly men. You need to adapt and change your style according to the situation. Also, when those rich women start choosing their guy, you should wow them with your charm. Take off your shirt so that your abs and chest muscles are on full display, then grind with your hips a little. Those rich women won't stand a chance. They'd be drooling all over themselves. Then you have to tell them that you have good stamina and can last for ages." Good stamina and can last for ages. It seems like you remember that night very vividly. Charlotte's face turned crimson red upon reading his reply, and she sent an angry emoji back to him. "I'm teaching you how to do business and make money, but you're talking about useless things instead. If you don't hit your target tonight, you have to make up for the difference tomorrow. I've told you before that you must pay me at least $5,000 every day. Gigolo." In Debt replied to her with a sweating emoji. "Work a little harder, put in a little more effort. The night is still young. Who knows? Maybe business will come knocking on your door after midnight. Don't be picky. Who cares if those rich women are skinny or obese? As long as they take a liking to you, you shag 'em. Gigolo." In Debt was speechless. "Forget it. I'll head over to Sultry Night right now and bring you some supplements and maybe teach you some skills too while I'm there." Being a boss meant spending effort winning over the workers instead of blindly squeezing them dry. A boss had to lead with virtue and sentiment, otherwise the workers would eventually leave. Charlotte recalled the business lessons her father had taught her in the past and decided to treat this gigolo in debt better from then on. After Charlotte informed Mrs. Barry where she was going, she had a change of clothes and went to the pharmacy near her neighborhood. She kept her head low and scanned her surroundings first, before walking toward the counter to ask the salesperson, "May I know if you have supplements for improving sex drive?" "For a man or a woman?" asked the salesperson. "For a man." Charlotte lowered her voice to a whisper. These are what we have. Which one would you like? The salesperson pointed at the row of glass cabinets behind the counter. I want the cheapest one, Charlotte answered without hesitation. This one, then. The salesperson took out a bottle of supplements. It's buy 3, get 1 free. How much is 3 bottles? $3,380. It's too expensive. I'll take just the one. Rendered speechless, the salesperson checked out 1 bottle for her. Charlotte stuffed it into her bag and left in a flurry. The salesperson then sidled over to a colleague and gossiped, "That lady just now is quite pretty. It's too bad she doesn't have a conscience." Huh? How come? Just think about it. She squeezed her husband dry, so she came here to buy him some supplements, but she ended up buying only 1 bottle. I mean, come on, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Haha, what a vicious wife. After leaving the pharmacy, Charlotte took a cab to Sultry Night and searched for Gigolo in debt. She directly went to the private room where the 2 of them previously met. Sure enough, he was there. As usual, his face was hidden behind that mysterious mask. Clad in all black, he took up a lofty posture as he leaned back against the sofa and sipped on his drink, emanating an insufferably arrogant and unapproachable aura. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Look at that attitude. No wonder no one picked you. Charlotte chastised him as soon as she stepped into the room. Those rich women come here to seek pleasure, not to be at the mercy of a masochist. Who do you think you'll seduce with that grim face of yours? Well, it's take it or leave it. Zachary swirled the glass in his hand and continued sipping on his drink. How can you be successful by just making do with what comes your way? Charlotte was exasperated. You need to think big and strive to create a better life for yourself. Even a gigolo needs to think big, Zachary questioned. Of course. You gigolos have different levels too, right? Charlotte continued educating him earnestly. If your performance is good, you can become the top gigolo here. Others may only earn $10,000 a night, but you'll earn $100,000. When that happens, you'll be able to retire after just 2 years. You have to make the most out of your youth in this line of work. If you don't work hard now, how are you going to get by once you're old? It makes sense, Zachary nodded. So, you have to work hard to improve your performance. Charlotte took out the bottle of supplement from her bag. Here, I bought this for you. Take it and close a big client later tonight. There's no need for that. My sex drive is very good. Zachary glanced at the bottle, his lips arched into a wicked smile. Didn't you experience it firsthand? Well, it used to be good, but after doing it for so many years, you probably have some problems now. Don't you? Charlotte gazed at him with pity in her eyes. Everything excessively used will wear out with time. Her gaze fell on his groin and she released a sigh. Zachary narrowed his eyes dangerously and pinched her chin to level their gazes. Are you doubting my abilities? His eyes gleamed with an innate kind of dominance, making her heart flutter nervously for some reason. Charlotte scooted back slightly and kept a distance from him. I'm just worried about your physical condition. I even bought you some supplements. You should repay me for my effort. How do you want me to repay you? Zachary abruptly closed in on her and exuded a dangerous aura, resembling a wild beast stalking its prey. Well, of course, by earning more money and clearing your debt to me sooner. Charlotte's mind was in shambles by then, and she began to stammer, and also? She pointed at the expensive bottle of red wine on the table, trying to diffuse the sexual tension in the air. Don't spend excessively. Don't falsify bank statements. This was paid by a client, Zachary replied casually. I see. That makes more sense. I was wondering how you could afford to buy such an expensive bottle of wine. Charlotte continued shifting away. Has that client placed an order with you? I rejected her. Zachary deliberately teased her. 58 years old and 280 pounds. I'm too young to die in bed. A snort of laughter escaped Charlotte's lips at that, and she reached out to squeeze his arm. You're strong and packed with muscles. There's no way you'd die that easily. Zachary caught her wandering little hand and jerked her into his arms. Why don't you try me out first? No. Charlotte was so flabbergasted that she blurted out barely coherent words. Don't try anything funny. If you touch me, I'll report you. Go ahead. Zachary gently bit her earlobe, which sent a ripple of electricity through her entire body, making her tingle all over. If I get fired, I won't have money to pay you back anymore. Charlotte couldn't formulate a response to refute him. Zachary's lips traveled downward before brushing a feather-light kiss on her collarbone. Then, he trapped the button on her shirt between his teeth and nuzzled her chest tantalizingly. Don't. Charlotte thrashed against him in panic, but she couldn't break free from his hold no matter how hard she tried. You're really sensitive. Zachary was very satisfied with her reaction and planned to continue teasing her, but a woman's loud and pompous voice came from outside, interrupting the peace. I'm tired of those male escorts from earlier. Don't you have any new ones? I want the best in sultry night, the best of the best. That's right, we want the finest you have here. We can afford it. With that, the door burst open with a loud bang. 3 wealthy women with plump figures who reeked of alcohol barged in and were taken aback when they saw the unfamiliar private room. Huh? Where are the 18 escorts we ordered? Why is it so quiet here? Did we come to the wrong room? You went the wrong way. Your room is on the opposite side. Beyond the door, the bodyguard whom Zachary had sent away was about to come in and handle the situation. However, he immediately backtracked when Zachary shot him a meaningful look. Charlotte pushed off the sofa and tidied her clothes with her back to the door. Hey, there's one here. The 3 women spotted Zachary and gathered around him excitedly, undressing him with their eyes. His body and looks are top-notch. He's completely on a different level compared to the boring ones out there. Domineering and ruthless, just my cup of tea. Hey, handsome, you're also an escort here, right? Name your price. We have the money. Zachary nursed his drink and didn't spare them a glance. His cold and domineering temperament made the 3 women hunger for him all the more. Upon noticing this, Charlotte jumped at the opportunity to make a fortune and deliberately provoked the 3 of them. Oh, do you now? You don't look like you can even afford a drink here. Where did this bratty girl come from? How dare you speak to us like this? The women shot hostile glares at Charlotte. Don't you know who we are? I don't give a crap about who you are. Charlotte clung onto Zachary's arm and warned, I saw him first. Zachary's brows raised a little as he studied her with intrigue. One of the women took out a stack of banknotes from her bag and threw it onto the table. Little girl, there are tons of escorts out there. This money is more than enough for you to hire at least 7 of them. Give this one to us. No. Charlotte tilted Zachary's chin and smashed her lips onto his icy ones, then wrapped her arms around him and snapped, I spent $100,000 today just to have this legendary Gigolo god all to myself. I won't be giving him up to anyone, so get out. Go, go, go. Zachary's brows shot up to his hairline, then he pursed his lips, craving more than just a kiss from her. But Gigolo god? Seriously? Is this some sort of upgrade? 100,000? Look at your cheap clothes. How could you afford to spend so much money? One of the rich women questioned. Having her dignity get trampled on, Charlotte almost blew her cover, but she recovered quickly and kept up the act. I've been saving up for this for a long time. Just to have a passionate night with this Gigolo god, I took out my entire annual salary. Your annual salary is only 100,000? The women laughed mockingly. You can barely scrap by in life, yet you came here and hired a gigolo. Aren't you embarrassed? Why should I be? He's mine for tonight anyway. Charlotte caressed Zachary's chiseled pecs, purposely provoking them. Look at this perfect body. 100,000? Ha! I'd even spend 1 million if I had to. The three women scanned Zachary's body from head to toe, practically salivating at the thought of what lay beneath his clothes. Zachary stared at Charlotte as a dangerous glint flickered in his eyes. Charlotte didn't dare to meet his gaze. In fact, she was flustered on the inside, but for the sake of money, she went all out. Fine, 1 million it is. One of the women filled out a check and threw it at Charlotte. You can get lost now. It's 10 times the amount you spent. Another woman sneered. For someone who lives at the bottom of society, I doubt you can make 1 million even if you were given a lifetime. Well, looks like you hit the jackpot today, so get lost. That's right. Take the money on the table too, then hurry up and get lost. The three women urged her, wanting so badly for Charlotte to leave that very second so that they could get on with their night. Charlotte examined the check and kept it once she confirmed its validity. Then she opened her bag and quickly stuffed the banknotes on the table into it. I'll go now. Have fun. With that, she got up and was about to leave. However, the hem of her shirt was grabbed from behind, holding her in place. She looked back and saw that Gigolo in debt was holding onto her shirt and glaring at her. You're dead if you leave. Be a good boy and work hard. Charlotte pried his fingers off her shirt. Hugging her bag that was full of money to her chest, she scurried away without looking back once. As Zachary watched her flee, his eyes gradually darkened and his hand tightened around the glass wine. After escaping from the private room, Charlotte leaned her back against the door as a hint of guilt rose in her heart. Those three rich women probably weigh about 700 pounds in total. Can Gigolo in debt handle it? I should have bought a few more bottles of those supplements for him. Charlotte opened the door a crack to peek inside and saw the three women approaching Gigolo in debt like hungry wolves. Their fleshy backs were blocking Charlotte's line of sight, so she couldn't see Gigolo in debt's expression. She imagined him to be quaking on the sofa at the moment, begging in a fearful voice, "Please let me go." She sighed softly, then closed the door and ignored her guilty conscience, quickening her steps to leave. Here we come, Gigolo God. Ha 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 ha. The three women launched themselves at Zachary with excitement coursing through their veins. Zachary showed no reaction, but when he lowered his gaze, the three of them collapsed to the ground at the same time. Due to their heavy weight, the ground shook as if being hit by an earthquake, almost shattering the coffee table in the process. The black-clothed bodyguard pushed open the door and entered the room, asking cautiously, "Are you okay, Mr. Nacht?" "Clean this up." Zachary stepped on the coffee table to leave, not wanting the soles of his shoes to get dirtied by the three women on the ground. Charlotte stepped out of sultry night and hailed a cab. On the ride home, she guiltily sent a text message to Gigolo. "In debt. Are you okay?" There was no reply. She sent another message. "If you really can't handle them anymore, just run away. Don't foolishly force yourself to bear with it." There was still no reply. Charlotte called him, but no one answered. She felt even more uneasy. Shit. Could something have happened to that guy? Or maybe he's serving his clients and wants to keep things professional. For some reason, Charlotte's chest constricted slightly at the thought of this. After all, he was her first man. Now that he had ended up in this situation, she found it to be rather tragic. But on second thought, this was his job. She had only happened to come across those ladies today. If she hadn't, he would have been serving rich women anyway. Forget it. Being soft-hearted will get me nowhere. I'd be better off focusing on being a dutiful creditor. The next morning, Charlotte made sure her triplets safely boarded the bus before rushing to the company. Because she was going to be late, she carried her heels and ran nonstop. Upon reaching the company's driveway, a Rolls-Royce Phantom abruptly sped toward her from the side with no intention of slowing down. Charlotte couldn't avoid the car in time, falling to the ground in fright. The car, on the other hand, came to a screeching halt just an inch away from her. A little further, and Charlotte would have been meeting either God or Satan in person. She was so scared that her heart threatened to fly out of her chest, but the people in the car looked completely unfazed. The security guard came forward to help Charlotte up, but unexpectedly reproached her. "Don't run around like a Mad Hatter. You almost ran into the president's car." They were obviously the ones who almost ran into me. Charlotte's anger spiked, and she turned her head to glare at the people in the car. The bodyguards were rocking their poker faces, not showing an ounce of remorse. As for Zachary, who was seated in the back, he was staring unblinkingly at Charlotte with a frosty gaze. Charlotte was stunned. "What's going on? I'm obviously the victim here." Zachary made a gesture, and the Rolls-Royce Phantom zoomed past Charlotte just a hair's breadth away from her. Fury ignited in Charlotte, but she could only massage her bruised wrists and sore bum before limping into the company. In the elevator, she recalled the look in Zachary's eyes just now and became more perplexed than ever. When did I ever offend the devil? Since joining the company until now, I've been nothing but a diligent worker. I haven't done anything wrong. The only time she had come in contact with him was when he bumped into her, causing her to get spaghetti all over Wesley's face. She even thought that he had intentionally done it to teach Wesley a lesson. Now it seemed like she had been overthinking it. Just now, his driver had almost run her down, causing her to fall and bruise herself. She didn't even kick up a fuss, but he had glared at her with such a terrifying look in his eyes. How strange. Maybe he was just born a brooding devil and there's no reasonable explanation behind it. Following this train of thought, Charlotte's nerves relaxed considerably. A few scrapes were nothing she couldn't handle. She was fine as long as she didn't offend that devil. Otherwise, her life from then on would become a living hell. Little did she know that her run of bad luck had only just begun. On level 13, before Charlotte could settle down at her desk, Roy, the manager of the administration department, immediately lambasted her. "You've only been here for a few days, but you're already coming in late? Who do you think you are? The Queen?" The president came down to personally check the attendance in each department. "We were severely criticized because of you. Our bonuses for this quarter have all been deducted." "I'm sorry, Mr. Young, Don't give me excuses." Roy cut her off and roared angrily. "Put your work on hold and go clean the swimming pool on level 68 now." "Huh? Clean the swimming pool? Why?" Charlotte was dumbstruck. "What do you mean, why?" Roy put on a stern face. "This is your punishment. Or do you want your salary to be deducted instead?" No, I don't want that." The moment Charlotte heard about a possible salary deduction, she immediately caved in. "I'll go clean the swimming pool right now." On level 68, the highest floor of the building, was a luxurious infinity pool. The clear blue sky was reflected in the pool, hence, swimming here would be like wading across the fluffy white clouds in the sky. This is obviously for the devil's personal use. The place was spotless, without a speck of dust in sight. The tiles could even be used as mirrors. Charlotte couldn't understand why she had been ordered to clean it. However, she would do it as long as her salary wasn't be deducted. In the blink of an eye, she had worked for 3 hours. The floor was scrubbed clean and the pool water had been replaced. Charlotte was about to gather her things and head downstairs. When she turned around, she was met with a man seated on an ivory-colored recliner chair, scaring the living daylights out of her. "Mr. Nacht, how long have you been here?" Zachary was wearing a pair of shades and clad in an off-white casual suit, looking cold and overbearing. He did not answer Charlotte's question, but took off the black gold ring on his index finger instead before throwing it into the pool. With that same overbearing aura around him, he commanded, "Retrieve it." Huh? Charlotte was stunned, unable to fathom why Zachary was doing this. Zachary cocked an arrogant brow. "Mr. Noct, have I offended you in any way?" Charlotte asked nervously. "If I have done something wrong, I apologize to you." "Are you going to retrieve it or not?" Zachary kept things straight and concise. Charlotte wanted to say something, but she was afraid she might lose her job. Thus, she had no choice but to suppress all her grievances and take off her leather shoes to retrieve his ring from the pool. The moment she entered the pool, her teeth began chattering from the cold. It was earlier winter, so the water in the pool was freezing, especially when the wind blew past. Charlotte shivered, but could only steel herself and lower her head into the water in search for his ring. On the recliner, Zachary's lips tugged into a smug smile upon seeing this. Finding such a small item in a huge swimming pool was basically looking for a needle in a haystack. Charlotte hugged her arms as she shivered violently. After more than half an hour, she finally caught sight of the ring. She frantically dived below to retrieve it. By the time she stood back up, her whole body was soaked. She tossed her long hair over her shoulder and wiped the water off her face, yelling with joy, "I found it!" The sunlight reflected off the ring, making it dazzle beautifully, and her smile looked especially bright as well. Zachary's lips curved into a frosty smile as he beckoned her with a finger. Charlotte hastily got out of the pool and handed the ring back to him. "Here's your ring, Mr. Noct." Zachary lifted his eyes to look at her, and burning desire gradually filled his gaze. Even though Charlotte had no makeup on, her pure and natural beauty, as well as her inherent noble temperament, was more than enough to make up for it. Because she was completely drenched, her white blouse and black skirt hugged her body, displaying her perfect curvy figure, making her look as alluring as ever beneath the brilliant sun. "Mr. Noct." Charlotte was still trembling from the cold and failed to notice the change in Zachary's expression. Zachary withdrew his gaze and took the ring from her. Before walking away at an unhurried pace, he left her with a single instruction: change the water again, then clean up before leaving. Charlotte watched his retreating back and gnashed her teeth in anger. What the hell is wrong with this devil? He purposely threw his ring in and had me retrieve it all just to torment me? What did I ever do to him? Achoo, achoo. A gust of wind blew past, causing Charlotte to shiver in her clothes and sneeze several times in a row. Left with no choice, she repeated the process of cleaning up the place and changing the pool water. After she was done, she picked up a bathrobe from the recliner and wrapped it around her almost frozen body before hurrying back downstairs. She was dripping with water and sneezing continuously in the elevator. All she wanted to do was hurry to the locker room to dry her clothes as soon as possible. Unfortunately, she ran into Wesley just as the elevator doors opened. Wesley was waiting for the elevator with a document in hand. Upon seeing Charlotte look as if she had just come out of the shower, his eyes immediately lit up. "Well, what do we have here?" Charlotte ignored him and fast-walked to the washroom. Meanwhile, Wesley trailed after her without a second thought. The washroom in the changing room was small and rarely used by anyone. Just when Charlotte was going to close the door, Wesley barged in and even locked the door behind him. "What the hell are you doing?" Charlotte shouted in alarm. Well, 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 Charlotte." Wesley looked at her bathrobe and jeered. "I never knew you were this ambitious. You even set your sights on Mr. Noct." "What?" Charlotte was baffled. "You came down from level 68 and you're wearing Mr. Noct's bathrobe. Not to mention you have the look of a licentious woman set free, so don't deny that you went up there to seduce Mr. Noct." Wesley's sharp eyes roamed across Charlotte's body, burning bright with lust. I think you should give up. Mr. Noct is completely out of your league. He will never fall for a secondhand toy like you. You're crazy. Charlotte wasn't interested in dealing with a scumbag like him. Get out. You're just a secondhand toy that Hector got tired of playing with. Stopping acting so noble. Wesley unbuttoned his shirt and stared at her with a perverted gaze as he approached her. Snagging Mr. Noct is impossible, so why don't you come to me, I'm now a member of Divine Corporation's upper management with an annual salary of $1 million. It's your honor to be favored by me. You disgust me. Charlotte glared at him with resentment. I'm going to shout if you come any closer. Go ahead, Wesley chucked evilly. Don't you know that it's already past working hours now? Everyone on level 13 is long gone, and we are the only two left. If I want to take you right here and now, there's nothing you can do to stop me. With that, he took off his shirt and pounced on Charlotte. Get away from me, Charlotte screamed and put her hands in front of her to fend off Wesley. But Wesley still managed to pin her down on the sink and was about to rip the bathrobe off her body. Suddenly, the sound of a cell phone ringing came from her pocket. Immediately afterward, the door to the locker room was kicked open with a bang. The next moment, Wesley was kicked away, hitting the wall before sliding down to the ground. Ah! He clutched his stomach and shrieked in pain. Before Charlotte could even react, her chin was forcefully grabbed and lifted upward. A broody and arrogant face came into view, shocking her to the core. Mr. Noct. Messing around with a man at work? Do you want to be fired? Zachary stared at her with a penetrating gaze. No, Charlotte quickly explained. I only came here to dry my clothes. Mr. Holt was the one who barged in and even tried to sexually assault me. You can check the surveillance cameras outside if you don't believe me. No, that's not what happened, Mr. Noct. She's the one who seduced me. Wesley clambered to his feet and frantically explained. Mr. Noct, you might not be aware of this, but Charlotte has always been a frivolous SL*T. 4 years ago, her fiancé broke off their engagement, so she messed around with a gigolo, causing her father to commit suicide by jumping off a building. This incident is widely known. Bang. Ah! Wesley was kicked to the ground by Zachary again before he could finish his sentence, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Zachary rubbed the sole of his shoe on the carpet as if kicking Wesley had dirtied his shoe. Please let me explain, Mr. Noct. Wesley clutched his chest and rasped out. Charlotte and I have known each other for 5 years, and she's been seducing me. If he says one more word, cut off his tongue, Zachary ordered with a murderous look on his face. Yes, sir. Ben hauled Wesley up and pinned him against the wall with a hand around his neck. As Ben choked the life out of him, his eyes widened with terror and his entire body trembled. Charlotte was stunned as well. She didn't expect Zachary to be so ruthless or to actually believe her. Just then, Zachary stalked toward her and engulfed her petite body with his towering self. It was like a lion trapping its prey beneath its claws. Charlotte's eyes widened to look at him in astonishment, and her heart pounded in her chest. She did not dare to move a muscle. Bit by bit, he inched closer. Just as his lips were about to graze her forehead, she instinctively closed her eyes, her body quivering with anxiety. However, he did not touch her. Instead, he took something out from the pocket of the bathrobe she was wearing. She opened her eyes, and when she saw a customized cell phone in his hand, she was utterly stupefied. So he was looking for his phone. It turned out that he had put his phone in the pocket of this bathrobe, which she had taken down with her after putting it on. The ringtone from just now had also come from his phone. Arrange him to be a guard at the parking lot. After taking his phone, Zachary turned and left. Yes, sir. Ben patted Wesley's face. You should be grateful that Mr. Noct is a kind and generous person. Getting an annual salary of $1 million by being a guard? You won't be able to find such an opportunity anywhere else. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Mr. Noct. Thank you, Ben. Thank you so much. Wesley's mouth was bleeding profusely, but he still forced a smile onto his face and nodded incessantly. Disgust washed over Charlotte as she looked at Wesley. At the same time, she sighed inwardly. This punishment is absolutely ingenious. From this moment on, Wesley will never be able to lift his head up high. This is the way of the devil. Charlotte made a silent note to stay as far away as possible from this dangerous devil. Now that she thought about it, she felt that her gigolo in debt was still the best. He was obedient and good-natured, and had even earned her more than $1 million in just 2 nights. With this thought in mind, Charlotte quickly dried her clothes and made her way to the bank. Since time was of the essence, she ran all the way there and made it there before they got off work for the day, rushing in to cash in the check for money. To her dismay, the bank clerk told her that the check had been stopped early this morning. Charlotte was flummoxed. Those 3 rich women bought Gigolo in debt from me with $1 million, but once they got him, they revoked the check? Are rich women nowadays so unprincipled? Charlotte immediately dialed for Gigolo in debt, but he didn't answer even after she called him 3 times in a row. Thrown into a frenzy, she sent him a text. "Call me back ASAP, it's urgent." There was no reply. Charlotte held her phone as she turned everything over in her head. Could something have happened last night? Could it be that Gigolo in debt couldn't stand their wild tastes and escaped at the last minute? So the women got mad and canceled the check? That seems possible. Yeah, that must be it. Coming to this conclusion, Charlotte immediately got into a cab and headed straight for Sultry Night. On the way there, she started sneezing violently with snot running down her nostrils. It was clear that she caught a cold while cleaning the pool this afternoon. That was the least of her worries now, though. All she cared about now was finding that gigolo. Soon, she arrived at Sultry Night. Because it was still early, they were not open for business yet, so outsiders were barred from entering. Charlotte slipped in through the back door and went to the same private room. Oddly, the room was empty. The sofa, coffee table, wine cabinets, and even the carpet were all gone. Several waiters were meticulously cleaning the place, while the manager was taking some measurements, mentioning about getting newly customized furniture. Charlotte grabbed a waitress and asked in a hushed tone, "What happened here? Everything was still fine yesterday." "I'm not really sure either. The manager instructed me to clean the place up, so I'm just following orders." The waitress then impatiently said, "How did you get in? Get out now." "I'm just a curious passerby. I won't interfere with your work. I promise." Charlotte took out $300 in cash and stuffed it into her hand. The waitress immediately took the money and stuffed it into her pocket. Then she checked their surroundings before cupping her mouth to whisper in Charlotte's ear, "When I came in today, there was a lot of blood on the carpet. I think someone died here. Stuff like this, I'm sure you know what I mean." "What?" Charlotte's eyes had gone wide, her body stiffening entirely. The word "someone died here" was on playback in her mind. She recalled what Gigolo in debt had said to her yesterday. 58 years old and 280 pounds. "I'm too young to die in bed." He had rejected a 280-pound rich woman who wanted to book him for a whole night. And last night, there were 3 of them. He couldn't possibly have vomited blood and died from overexertion, right? If a life was really lost here, it's entirely possible that the women canceled their check in order to dissociate themselves from this incident. Charlotte's heart clenched hard in her chest. She silently blamed herself for being greedy, which cost the gigolo his life in the end. Besides, he was also the father of her children. A scene emerged in her mind. It was fast-forwarded to a decade in the future, where her children would pester her about their father's identity. With tears of repentance in her eyes, she would say, "Your father was a gigolo. I sold him to 3 rich women who weighed about 700 pounds in total for $1 million. After that, he went missing, and I have no idea if he's dead or alive." Charlotte shuddered at that thought and frantically sent a text message to Gigolo. In debt. "My dearest Gigolo, are you still alive? I'm sorry, I was too greedy. I was wrong and I shouldn't have sold you to those 3 women. I'm so sorry. I regret it now. Please forgive me." She sent more than 10 consecutive texts to him, only to receive radio silence. Charlotte then called him a few times, but still, no one answered. She stayed there from evening until late into the night, hauling her frail and shivering body all around the place to hunt for any sign of her gigolo in debt. To increase the air of mystery, all the staff in Sultry Night were wearing all sorts of sexy masks. But most of their masks were exaggerated and completely different from Gigolo. Indette's mysterious and cool mask, so she could still easily differentiate them. After doing a round of searching, there was still no sign of Gigolo in Dette. Charlotte's cold was worsening. Her nose was runny from sneezing so much, and she felt weak and dizzy too. The poor ventilation here made it even more unbearable for her. She was about to leave, but after squeezing through the crowd, she inadvertently spotted a man wearing a black half-mask sitting at one of the booths. His figure, clothes, and mask were all similar. She rushed over to grab him. "There you are. I was looking for you everywhere." The man looked at her in confusion and was about to speak, but the woman beside him, whose face had obviously gone under the knife, shouted angrily before he could, "What are you doing? This is the escort I booked." "He's mine." Charlotte pulled the gigolo toward her. "You don't need to work today. Follow me." With that, she was about to pull him along. "You stop right there." Miss Plastic Face jumped up from the sofa and grabbed the gigolo's other arm. "I've already booked you for 2 hours. You dare leave?" "Jenny, I'm not trying to leave. It's this pretty lady who's—" the gigolo tried to explain. Charlotte was stunned when she heard his slightly accented high-pitched voice. "It's not him. I think I got the wrong person." "B*ditch. How dare you touch what belongs to me? Blind fool, I'll beat you to death." Before Charlotte could explain, Miss Plastic Face hurtled over and pushed her onto the sofa. Charlotte flailed her hands in front of her as she fought her off. They were initially fairly matched, but 3 of the woman's friends rushed over to help her. Soon, a full-blown catfight broke out. Charlotte shielded her head with both hands, curling up like a tortoise. Even so, she still suffered a good beating, and a lot of her hair had been ripped off too. Standing by the side, the gigolo yelled anxiously, "Stop fighting! Stop! Don't fight over me!" He whimpered slightly at the sight of the women. "Strip this B** naked, and let's see just how smutty she is to have the nerve to steal my man." The women gave a war cry and started tearing at Charlotte's clothes. One of them was even holding her throat, preparing to give her a tight slap. Charlotte instinctively squeezed her eyes shut, but the slap didn't come, and the women who were pulling at her clothes were gone. A few shrieks pierced through the air. Charlotte slowly opened her eyes and saw that the gigolo she had mistaken as hers was sent flying through the air, slamming into the women. Sprawled out on the floor, the few of them looked miserable. Charlotte raised her head, and from her supine position on the sofa, she saw another gigolo in debt look-alike. He was wearing a mysterious half-mask, his slender figure looking cold and indifferent under the lights. Even in such a dimly lit space, his bottomless eyes still glowed with charm and radiance. He stretched out a hand toward her, making her freeze in place. Before she knew it, his strong arm pulled her up and right into his arms. The moment Charlotte's cheek was pressed against his powerful chest, the sound of his steady heartbeat filled her ears. She raised her head, and the shock on her face was reflected in his fathomless eyes. How could you mistake someone else as your debtor? Where is your brain? Zachary gave Charlotte's head a light knock, giving her an accusatory look. You're finally here. Are you okay? Charlotte's shocked gaze shifted from his face to his body and came to rest on his manhood. Are you really okay? Zachary grasped her chin, raising her face to his. Would you like to test it out? Stop fooling around. Charlotte pulled on his arm and looked at him with worry lining her features. I went to your private room, and when they said that someone died, I thought that it was you. Also, the check that those 3 women gave me have been canceled. What on earth happened last night? Let's go somewhere else to talk. With that, Zachary led her out through the back door. The bodyguards of those rich women wanted to go after them, but they were easily incapacitated by Ben. Once out of sultry night, the sound of heavy metal music faded and the world became quiet once again. Charlotte hurriedly apologized. Yesterday was my fault. I shouldn't have given you to those 3 women. What exactly did they do to you? Zachary did not answer, but made a gesture to his bodyguards that were not far behind. They immediately retreated upon seeing his signal. Are you still mad at me? I won't treat you this way ever again. Charlotte tugged on his sleeve. Gigolo, you'll forgive me, won't you? Call me something else. Zachary frowned. Well, I don't know what your name is. Charlotte was pushed forward by him. Where are you taking me? Zachary gave another signal behind him, to which Ben instantly tossed the car keys to his Aston Martin toward him. Zachary caught it midair and smoothly opened the door before shoving Charlotte into it. Is this your car? Charlotte was astounded. This car probably cost tens of millions, right? How come you own such an expensive car? Don't tell me you're actually a wealthy heir and came out to work part-time as a gigolo out of boredom? Can you think like a normal person? Zachary rolled his eyes at her. Then what is it? Charlotte's curiosity was piqued. Does it belong to a client? It's a client's. Zachary was fretting over coming up with an excuse, but it turned out that he didn't have to. So, does this mean that besides working as a gigolo at sultry night, you also have a sugar mommy? Realization dawned on Charlotte just then. No wonder the other time. She was about to say that she saw him inside a Rolls-Royce once, but fortunately, she held her tongue in time. She had brought her 3 children out that day. He probably didn't see her, but it was better not to mention about it, so that she could continue keeping the children's existence a secret from him. Zachary started the engine and drove away. How many sugar mommies do you have? Charlotte probed. 1 is enough. How many did you think I need? Zachary raised his brows. Well, she seems to be a very, very, very rich woman. With both the Rolls-Royce and Aston Martin in mind, Charlotte did a mental calculation, concluding that this sugar mommy of his probably had a very extraordinary identity. What's going on with you? Zachary took in the miserable state she was in with a look of disdain. Cough, cough. Sorry. Charlotte hastily took out a handful of tissues to wipe her nose before airing her grievances. Today was such an unlucky day for me. I was almost run over by a car at work this morning. I fell and now there's a big bruise on my butt, and my hands were scraped too. Later on, I had to clean the swimming pool on the top floor as punishment, and got myself soaking wet in the process. Then I was almost harassed by a P***************T. And just now I got into a fight and a handful of my hair was ripped off my scalp. She wailed pitifully. That's called karma. Zachary was gloating at her misfortune, thinking that she deserved all of this for her evil deeds last night. What? Charlotte argued. It's all because I have a devil as a boss. You don't know what a psychopath he is. His driver almost ran me down, but instead of apologizing, he glared at me like I owed him or something. After that, when I was cleaning the pool, he threw his ring into the water and asked me to retrieve it. I almost froze to death doing that. The point is, I didn't even offend him, so I can't figure out why he'd do that to me. Maybe he suffered some kind of childhood tragedy and was traumatized by it. That's why he grew up to be so cruel. While listening to her, Zachary's face gradually darkened. Then he abruptly floored the accelerator before sharply turning the steering wheel. The car swerved to the side, causing Charlotte's head to slam against the window with a bang. Ah! Charlotte held onto her head as the pain brought tears to her eyes. Zachary smirked. Continue. What happened with your boss? It hurts. The pain is killing me. Boo-hoo. Charlotte pursed her lips and answered with an innocent tone. Are you taking revenge for what happened last night? I know I was wrong. Why were you wrong? Zachary asked. I shouldn't have sold you to the 3 rich ladies, Charlotte replied in remorse. Luckily you escaped, or else you may have puked blood and died. That's unlikely, Zachary grunted coldly. Why not? The 3 ladies put together weigh over 700 pounds. Their weight alone is enough to kill you. Charlotte seemed to have found her conscience. If you're dead, who is going to earn money from me? I won't force you next time. Let's just do this slowly in a more sustainable way. I'm glad you found your conscience. Zachary was finally satisfied. How much did your sugar mommy give you a month? Charlotte asked nosily. Given that she gifted you such an expensive car, I'm sure she must be very generous. Why are you asking? Zachary had a bad feeling about it. I'm just curious. Charlotte probed. Is it 1 million? Zachary ignored her. 800,000? Charlotte guessed again. Zachary furrowed his eyebrows. 500? Charlotte became desperate. She can't be that stingy, can she? What do you want? Do you still remember the contents of our agreement? Charlotte leaned closer with a grin. The agreement states that you have to pay me half your earnings within 3 months, and the earnings don't just include those from sultry night. I knew it. Zachary squinted his eyes in displeasure. You are both greedy and a nymph. You just can't change. I shouldn't have softened my stance against her. When she sold him to the 3 rich ladies yesterday, he was outraged. Hence, the first thing he did in the morning was to teach her a lesson. However, she did send him a message expressing her regret last night and sounded sincere. Also, he heard from the manager of Sultry Night that she had waited for him from evening till late in the night. Therefore, he couldn't help but go to Sultry Night to check on her. He then saw her fighting with a few other ladies over him. That was when he saved her again. He thought she sincerely regretted her actions, but little did he expect that she just wanted to make money for the long term using him as a gigolo. That's part of our agreement. Worried that he would be upset, Charlotte tugged his arm and persuaded, Actually, it's good to have a sugar mommy to take care of you. The stable income is definitely better than the individual clients at Sultry Night. However, it would be even better if you work at both places. That way you can earn even more. As she rambled on, she didn't notice that Zachary's face had darkened significantly. You can get a few sugar mommies. If every one of them gives you 500,000, 10 of them means you will get 5 million. I will then receive 2.5 million. Before she could finish, Zachary suddenly placed his hand on the back of her head and pulled her towards him. He snapped, Does it not hurt anymore? Huh? Charlotte was briefly stunned before she began to feel nervous. They were only an inch away from each other. She could feel his breath and the beast-like dominance he was exuding. The atmosphere became tense and dangerous. Noticing something was amiss, Charlotte quickly apologized. Don't be angry. I was just making a suggestion. If you think my demands are too much, we can split your allowance 60-40. 60 for you, 40 for me. I think you haven't suffered enough today. Zachary pinched her chin and rubbed her lips with his thumb. He looked as if he was considering how to devour his prey. 30-70? Charlotte quickly suggested. You can't expect 20-80. Get out. Zachary suddenly stopped the car by the side. Gigolo, please don't be angry. Get out, Zachary yelled as a sudden chill fell upon the car. Charlotte was so terrified that she frantically unbuckled her seatbelt. Having run out of patience, Zachary kicked her out of the car. Charlotte sprawled onto the ground like a frog, scratched and cut. Her palms and knees were burning in pain. Behind her, the Aston Martin sped off and left her in the dust. Charlotte shivered in the cold as she pitifully picked herself up. She then realized she was alone on an elevated bridge, and her phone had run out of juice. She was at the brink of collapsing into tears. Why are all men so cruel? The boss she met in the day was like that, and so was the gigolo at night. None of the cars that passed by her slowed down. After being out in the cold for an hour, she managed to stop a taxi. Charlotte quickly stopped it by jumping in front with outstretched arms. That night, Charlotte caught a cold and slept so soundly that even the alarm couldn't wake her. When morning arrived, Mrs. Barry woke her up. As she dragged herself to wash up, her body ached all over. When Mrs. Barry knew that she had caught a cold, she quickly made her some hot tea. Robbie went to the medical kit and found some cold medicine. He also brought Charlotte a glass of warm water. Mommy, once you finish breakfast, you will need to take your medication. You're such a good boy, Robbie. Charlotte used a tissue to cover her nose. I got up late today and am running late. Mrs. Barry will take you to the bus later, all right? Mommy, don't worry. I will take care of Jamie and Ellie. Acting like an adult, Robbie's expression showed that he was eager to shoulder the responsibility. Mommy, you shouldn't go to work. Instead, take the day off and see the doctor. Ellie felt bad for her mom as she helped Charlotte clean her nose with her chubby hands. I'll be fine after taking some meds. Don't worry. Charlotte kept drinking water as she also had a sore throat. I'll pour you some water, Ellie offered. When Charlotte finished the water, Ellie took the empty glass and poured another one. Mommy, this is the cold medicine I have prepared for you. You should bring them to work. Robbie put the cold medication into a small box and placed it in Charlotte's handbag. Thanks, Robbie and Ellie. Charlotte was proud of her children. They were only 3, but already so sensible. At that moment, she realized Jamie was gone and quickly asked, Where's Jamie? Jamie is watching Fifi poop. Ellie pointed her chubby arms toward the balcony. Jamie was standing on a small bench and staring intently at Fifi, who was in a cage. He was holding a stick in his hand and no one knew what he was up to. Inside the cage, Fifi stood there without moving. As its eyes darted around, it stretched its neck and tried hard to poop. He woke up twice in the middle of the night to check whether Fifi pooped. And this morning, he did the same too, Mrs. Barry laughed as she related. Perhaps he thinks Fifi is going to shit that piece of gold out. I think I'm inclined to believe Jamie. Robbie furrowed his eyebrows and looked serious. Perhaps his story is true. Jamie, come and have your breakfast, Mrs. Barry called out. Jamie ambled towards Charlotte. Mommy, Fifi has pooped. Is there any gold? Ellie sounded anxious. No, I've checked through it with a stick. Jamie was still filled with hope. Perhaps it will come out next time. After that, he instructed Mrs. Barry with a serious tone. Mrs. Barry, help me check if Fifi poops any gold while I'm out. All right, I'll watch over him for you. If there really is gold, I will keep it for you. Mrs. Barry replied with a smile. Now, eat your breakfast. After breakfast, she sent the 3 children off while Charlotte hailed a taxi to work. In the taxi, she sneezed nonstop while mucus kept dripping from her nose. She felt very sick at that moment. When she recalled how she suffered yesterday, She gritted her teeth in anger. She was quietly cursing both Zachary and the Gigolo, wishing they would be forever impotent. Inside the Rolls-Royce Phantom, Zachary sneezed twice and the image of Charlotte flashed across his mind. Damn it, did I catch a cold from her? Mr. Knocked, Ben reported. The result of Bruce's investigations is out. Go on. Zachary's attention was still on his documents. Pardus has given the chip to a child at Grand Plaza, Ben explained with a frown. From the security footage, the child is around 3 to 4 years old. Search the city for the child. Yes. When Charlotte arrived at the office, she realized everyone was looking at her differently. Her usually genial colleagues were all avoiding her today. It made her feel uneasy. Did they find out about the incident with Wesley? Did they have some misunderstanding about me? Just when she was pondering about it, the head of the administration department, Roy, informed her that she had been transferred to a new department. Hence, she needed to report to the HR department. When Charlotte asked her for the reason, Roy just turned and walked off. Feeling puzzled, Charlotte wanted to find out from her other colleagues about what happened. However, everyone avoided her like the plague. Hence, she had no choice but to proceed to the HR department alone. After receiving her transfer notice, she was dumbfounded when she learned of her new position. Security. Security? Is there a mistake? Yesterday, when Wesley tried to rape her, he was beaten up badly by Zachary. After that, he was reassigned as a security guard at the car park. She thought she had escaped the matter unscathed. After all, she was a victim. But now, the shocking news blew her into a state of devastation. What kind of logic is this? Why is the victim being punished along with the perpetrator? This is just so unfair. Charlotte couldn't contain her anger as she vowed to seek clarification from the president. The new HR manager just made a scornful remark. You've committed a big mistake, but you should count yourself lucky only your position has changed and you still get to keep your old salary. What did I do wrong? Enough with your questions. If you're not satisfied, then just leave. Charlotte was speechless. Fine, the company belongs to the devil, so he can do whatever he wants. Is there a point in reasoning with him? Impossible. Fuming, Charlotte collected her uniform and headed to the security department to report for duty. There, a group of burly security guards surrounded her and joked, Hey, the sun is rising from the west. The security guards at Divine Corporation have always been male. Today we actually have our first female guard. She's beautiful too. How did such a beautiful goddess end up being punished here? She must have offended the devil. Charlotte felt depressed. She was now sure that she had gotten on the devil's nerves without her knowledge. Or else, why would he keep punishing me repeatedly? Enough. It's time to work. The captain of the security guards barked at the group of young guards. He informed Charlotte, Your uniform looks big on you, so just bear with it for the time being. The HR department has already tailored a few sets for you, which will arrive next week. Thank you. Charlotte couldn't help but sneeze. Do you have a cold? The captain asked her in a friendly manner. Today is your first day at work, so you're probably unfamiliar with your station. Just follow David on his rounds at the parking lot. There's usually not much going on there. Thank you. Charlotte was extremely grateful. Let's go. David handed Charlotte a security cap and led her towards the car park. As the uniform Charlotte was wearing was oversized, she looked like a kid in adult clothes. And it looked utterly hideous. If not for the belt, her pants would have dropped any time. When they arrived at the car park, a white Bentley arrived. David pulled Charlotte along to welcome it. Charlotte asked softly, Why do the security guards have to do this? Don't we have the doormen to do it? The doormen are responsible for the car park's entrance. Charlotte was speechless and had no choice but to follow him. When David opened the Bentley's door, a tall and dashing man emerged from the car. Charlotte was shaken when she saw him. "It's him." "Thank you." Hector was just as gentle and elegant as he was 4 years ago. His white suit accentuated his tall figure and made him look especially dignified. Charlotte quickly turned away so that he wouldn't recognize her. "Move aside." Hector's bodyguard pushed Charlotte aside as he escorted Hector toward the elevator. Wearing her cap low, Charlotte hid behind a pillar and watched Hector discreetly. He was still wearing the silver-rimmed glasses and had a faint smile on his face. Anyone who saw it would be mesmerized. However, he looked to have lost some weight. Charlotte wondered how he had been over the last few years. As the past came rushing back, the beautiful and innocent memories from that time flooded her mind. Feeling the burn in her nose, Charlotte's eyes turned red. I used to be so madly in love with him. She'd given him all the passion in her youth while he had promised to marry her and protect her unconditionally. He had given her the world. Alas, people change. As if he felt something, Hector turned around to look. Charlotte quickly hid behind the pillar with her heart pounding rapidly. Did he see me? Behind her, she could hear footsteps approaching. She was extremely nervous as she didn't want him to see her under such dire circumstances. The closer the footsteps got, the faster her heart pounded. When they were right behind her, she panicked and started running. "Hey, why are you running?" David called out to her from behind. Stopping in her tracks to check, Charlotte realized it was just David. Hector had entered the elevator and was headed to the 66th floor, where the president's office meeting room was located. Only then did Charlotte heave a sigh of relief. However, a wave of disappointment set upon her. He didn't recognize me. It seems he has truly forgotten me. Don't worry, I felt the same way when I first met someone important. In fact, I was even more nervous than you. You will get used to it after some time. David assumed Charlotte was scared because of her lack of exposure to the world. Thank you. Charlotte was grateful and felt her colleagues at the security department were generally friendly. Let's patrol over there. As David led Charlotte on their rounds, he also explained what she needed to look out for when doing patrol. Just as they were chatting, a Rolls-Royce Phantom drove towards them. It's the president's car. David approached it and yelled at Charlotte to do the same. Quick, follow me. Knowing that the devil was the reason she fell into such undignified circumstances, anger swelled up within her. All she wanted to do was to tear him apart. However, since they were going to see each other, she wanted to question him as to what she had done to offend him. Or else, working as a security guard just wasn't right. Holding that thought, Charlotte followed him. Good morning, Mr. Nacht. David greeted the president respectfully as he opened the door. Good morning, his ass. It's already 10:30. Charlotte cursed in her heart. As Zachary stepped out of the car, his black suit made him look mysterious and dashing. Together with his handsome yet frosty face, he really looks annoying. It seems working as a security guard doesn't suit you. When Zachary saw Charlotte's resentful expression, he rubbed salt into her wounds. Perhaps being a cleaner would be a better fit. Charlotte was briefly stunned before quickly standing at attention. Good morning, Mr. Nacht. It's wonderful to see you here. Have you had your breakfast? Do you need me to get you some? Sure, why not? Zachary smiled smugly as he shot Ben a glance. Ben walked up to Charlotte and instructed, get him the pizza from Mario's, the beef sandwiches from Le Cordon Bleu, the hand-brewed coffee from St. Laurent's. That should do for today. It's a lot lesser than usual. Charlotte widened her eyes in shock. Thank you for the trouble. Visibly holding back his laughter, Zachary shot her a glance before leaving with his bodyguards behind him. Send them to the meeting room on the 66th floor in half an hour. After instructing Charlotte, Ben caught up with Zachary. Charlotte stood there stupefied. She offered to buy breakfast out of courtesy and didn't expect the devil to take her up on it, let alone making such demand. Those few restaurants are among H City's most famous, and one has to make a reservation half a month in advance. How is it possible to get all those items within just half an hour? He is obviously messing with me. By the way, Ben turned around to add, if you don't get them within half an hour, please be prepared to be transferred to the janitorial department. Charlotte felt the urge to clench her fists and scream, I quit. Just when her lips moved, the words were stuck in her throat. At that moment, Zachary had entered the elevator. When he turned around, he smiled deviously at her. Before she could say anything, the elevator door closed. Shutting her eyes tightly and gritting her teeth, she screamed at herself for being useless. Charlotte, Charlotte. David's voice broke her train of thought. Are you all right? I'm fine. Charlotte felt like crying. I should have just shut up. Why did I offer to buy the devil breakfast? The devil. Do you mean Mr. Nacht? David became nervous at once. Don't let anyone catch you saying that or you will be finished. Next time, you shouldn't call him that. Now what do I do? Charlotte was on the brink of tears. To buy all those items in half an hour is just impossible. I haven't even heard about those things before. David gave her a sympathetic look. I have not been to such high-end places before. Usually we eat at the restaurant on the 7th floor. Is there a canteen on the 7th floor? Charlotte was surprised. Before this, I only ate at the one on the 21st floor. The restaurant on the 7th floor serves local food, while the one on the 21st floor serves international cuisine. Most of the white-collared staff like you flock to the 21st floor, while blue-collared workers like us go to the 7th floor. I know what to do. Charlotte rushed into the elevator as she knew there was no time to waste. After all, she only had half an hour. When she arrived at the restaurant on the 7th floor, she got the chef to prepare pizzas, beef sandwiches, and a few other items. After that, she went to the 21st floor to get coffee. After all, she got the food according to the items listed by Ben. Since they were similar, she did believe that the devil could taste the difference. As of then, she had used up 21 minutes and only had 9 minutes left. As Charlotte dashed into the elevator with the food, she realized her security guard badge wasn't granted access to the 66th floor. Only then did she recall that it was Roy of the administration department who granted her access to the 68th floor with his card. She was there to clean the swimming pool yesterday. What am I going to do now? She had started out with enough time, but now she had been delayed. Charlotte did consider asking for Roy's help, but when she recalled how he was avoiding her, she felt it would be a waste of time. As she tried to press the other buttons, she realized the card granted her access to the 48th floor. Once she arrived, she continued going up by using the stairs. It was an 18-story climb from the 48th floor to the 66th. Still having a cold, Charlotte struggled up the steps with her legs trembling and head covered in sweat. Nevertheless, she persevered and reached the 66th floor at the very last minute. When she exited the stairwell, her knees buckled and she almost fell down at the entrance of the meeting room. At the crucial moment, a pair of hands grabbed onto her. Thank you. When she turned around panting, she saw a familiar face. Her body froze in shock. The moment Hector saw Charlotte, he too was stunned. The chivalrous smile on him turned awkward. Mr. Sterling, the bodyguard beside him reminded softly. Having heard the bodyguard, Hector regained his senses. He quickly let go and retreated half a step. His actions devastated Charlotte. She could feel her heart in turmoil and tears welling up in her eyes. Realizing that Hector was looking at her, she was at a loss with what to do with her hands. One hand was holding tight to the food, while the other was wiping the sweat off her brow and tidying up her messy hair. Mr. Sterling, we have to go as we still have a meeting at 1, the bodyguard reminded again. Hector gave Charlotte another glance before passing her and leaving. He didn't say a word the whole time. Standing still, Charlotte listened to Hector's footsteps as he left. Her heart felt like a piece of glass being smashed into pieces. Does he not recognize me anymore? Or did he choose not to? Perhaps I am just a shadow in his heart, a blot in his life. He doesn't want to bring it up or have anything to do with me. Holding that thought in mind, Charlotte felt as if a knife was slicing her heart. You're late. Zachary's voice rang out from behind her, and as if the devil himself was giving her a warning. Charlotte brought the food into the meeting room looking sullen. Is this the breakfast you bought? Ben took over the food from her hands and placed them on the table one by one. Pizzas, beef sandwiches, coffee. It is what I had requested. However, something doesn't seem right. Where did you get them from? Ben asked. The canteen. Charlotte was expressionless as her thoughts were still swirling around Hector. She had often fantasized about how it would be like when they were reunited. However, this wasn't what she expected. Hector must have looked down on me when he saw me in such miserable circumstances. The fact that he recoiled half a step and the indifferent look in his eyes made her feel as if he didn't know her at all. How is this acceptable? Ben reprimanded. I have told you that Mr. Noct wants pizza from Mario's, the beef sandwiches from Le Cordon Bleu, the hand-brewed coffee from Saint Laurent's. He is a human just like any one of us. If we can eat it, why can't he? Charlotte could no longer endure it anymore and began to vent her frustration. If Zachary hadn't asked her to get breakfast, she wouldn't have bumped into Hector. Zachary, who was sitting on a leather revolving chair, raised his gaze from the documents in his hand and glared at Charlotte. This is absurd, Ben snapped. How dare you talk to Mr. Noct this way? Charlotte ignored him as she turned to leave. Report to the janitorial department tomorrow, Ben declared from behind her. Charlotte stopped in her tracks and turned around. She took off her employee tag and threw it on the table. I quit. This time, she finally said it. There was no need to gather any courage nor to overthink the consequences. Ben was stunned. What did you say? Zachary squinted his eyes and gazed deeply at her. I said, I quit. Charlotte raised her head and looked straight at him. She ranted emotionally. I'm not going to entertain your volatile and irregular emotions anymore. Surprisingly, Zachary was not angered. Instead, a faint smile emerged on his face as he looked at her with interest. Ben and the other bodyguards were stunned. This was the first time someone dared to talk back at Zachary. Is this woman mad? I suggest you go and see a psychologist. You should cure your illness as soon as possible. After shooting Zachary an angry glare, Charlotte stormed out with her head held high. At that moment, she felt that was the coolest thing she had ever done. The moment she stepped out of the meeting room, Charlotte received a call from Mrs. Barry. Miss, something terrible has happened. What is it? Charlotte anxiously asked. The kindergarten teacher called and said that both Robbie and Jamie got into a fight. They even broke someone's car window and the owner is asking us to compensate $80,000. What? $80,000. Charlotte's heart dropped. Are they trying to scam us? I'll head over now. I'm on my way. I'll see you there. After ending the call, Charlotte returned to the security department to get changed. After that, she left hurriedly to Apple Kindergarten. When she called Ellie's teacher, the teacher instructed her to head for the principal's office. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Charlotte hurried there quickly. When she arrived at the door, she heard a haughty voice. These two children not only beat Timothy up, but also broke my car window. I will not let this matter slide. Mrs. Sterling, please don't be mad. I will help you find a solution. Solution? What solution? Until now, the parents involved aren't even here yet. Do they not teach their children anything? Charlotte frowned as she pushed open the door to enter. Robbie and Jamie were facing the wall with their hands behind their back. A well-dressed lady was sitting on the sofa with her back facing Charlotte and her legs crossed. Behind her were two bodyguards dressed in black suits, looking aloof. Beside her sat a young boy in a tailored black suit and his hair slicked back. With his pouting lips and chin held high, his face was filled with arrogance. Charlotte felt as if she had seen the child before but couldn't remember where. Miss Wint, you're finally here. When Miss Zane, the children's teacher, saw Charlotte, it was as if she saw her savior. She quickly introduced her to the principal. Miss Horner, this is Robinson, Jameson, and Elisa's mother. Mommy, Robbie and Jamie called out to her in unison, with a pitiful look on their faces. Miss Wint, you're finally here. Miss Horner frowned and demanded, Your children broke the school rules by beating up another student. They also broke the window of the parents' Bentley. How do you think we should resolve this? Miss Horner, hold your horses. Let me find out what's going on first. Charlotte quickly stepped forward and wanted to ask the children what happened. What's there to understand? Your two barbaric sons beat up Timothy. The woman sitting in the chair complained arrogantly. Please watch your mouth. Who do you think you are? The woman turned around angrily. When she saw Charlotte, she was stunned. It's you? Filled with shock, her eyes widened in disbelief. Charlotte was equally stunned. She didn't expect the haughty woman to be Luna, the same cousin who always followed her and fawned over her since they were children. She was excellent at being superficially close to Charlotte, but lost contact after she fell into dire circumstances. I really didn't expect to meet you here. Luna quickly regained her senses and maintained her haughty composure. She sneered, Are both these boys yours? If not for the fact they grew up together and Charlotte was extremely familiar with Luna, she would not believe that the person in front of her was Luna. The Luna that used to be timid was now a different person. What's wrong? Don't you dare admit it? Luna mocked with a laugh. What's there to hide? The whole city knew about your disgraceful act and your reputation has long been destroyed. Even if you bore 2, oops, I'm wrong, 3 bastards, it's not anything surprising at all. Luna! Charlotte cut her off and yelled. How dare you speak to me like that in front of the children? Don't make me slap you, silly. You... Luna was outraged. But when she saw the ferocity in Charlotte's eyes, she decided to stay silent. That's right, they are my children, Charlotte replied as she turned her attention to the arrogant-looking child. Is that your son with Hector? Of course. Luna raised her eyebrows smugly. After you left for a month, Hector and I got married. Now, I'm Mrs. Sterling. Is that so? Congratulations. When she saw the hypocritical look on Luna's face, memories from the past flooded back into Charlotte's mind. At that time, Hector's mother had made an announcement saying that the engagement had been called off on the day of the ceremony itself. Hector was shocked and Charlotte stormed off. After that, Luna brought Charlotte to Sultry Night, where she told her that she could forget about her troubles there. As Charlotte was furious with Hector, Luna told her that Hector was on his way and she should look for a man to get even with him. By making him feel jealous, she would be able to even the odds at home. After that, Charlotte declared that she wanted a gigolo, and Luna arranged one for her. As the past flashed before her, Charlotte understood what had happened then. She had fallen into Luna's trap, for she had taken over her place now. However, it was too late for regrets. Other than blaming herself for being stupid, there was nothing else Charlotte could do. Others had set the trap, but she was dumb enough to take the bait. Thank you, Luna smirked. Despite the fact that we are relatives, we still need to settle the score. Your son beat up my son and even broke my car window. Tell me, how are you going to compensate for it? So it appears both of you are relatives. Miss Zane tried to salvage the situation. In that case, why don't you resolve this in private? Resolve this in private? Luna interrupted Miss Zane and retorted, My son is a distinguished boy. Now that something has happened to him in your kindergarten, are you trying to shirk from your responsibility? No, that's not what I meant. I have already called my husband, and he will be here shortly. Luna arrogantly pressured the principal. Miss Horner, if today's matter is not resolved to my satisfaction, you can close down the kindergarten soon. Huh? Miss Zane was so shocked that her expression drastically changed. Keep your mouth shut. Miss Horner reprimanded Miss Zane before reassuring Luna. Mrs. Sterling, please don't be mad. I will definitely resolve this to your satisfaction. After that, she remarked coldly to Charlotte, Miss Wint, your children have been disobedient. Please apologize to Mr. and Mrs. Sterling together with your children and pay the necessary compensations. Miss Horner, I have not gotten to the bottom of the matter. Isn't it too early for you to make such a conclusion? Miss Horner was speechless. I think it's important to understand what happened first. Charlotte approached Robbie and Jamie. Robbie, Jamie, tell me what happened. It's him. Robbie pointed at Timothy and explained angrily. He was the one who colored Ellie's hair with paint, causing her to cry. I warned him not to do that, but he scolded me instead. Nonsense. My son won't do something like that. Luna defended her son immediately. Please let him finish. Charlotte scrutinized Timothy and noticed that there were still traces of paint on his hands. Furthermore, he didn't deny what Robbie said. All he did was show his arrogant face. Yes, that was what happened. Jamie clenched his little fists as his chubby face was flushed red with anger. I asked him to apologize to Robbie and Ellie, but he refused. He even threw the crystal ball on the table to hit me. Luckily, I ducked in time so it missed me, but it flew out of the classroom and hit the window of a car downstairs. Therefore, you didn't hit anyone and the car window was smashed by him. Is that right? Charlotte hugged both the children sympathetically. That's right. Robbie and Jamie nodded in unison. The other students in class saw it too. They can be witnesses, Robbie suggested cleverly. Did you inform the teacher about what happened? Charlotte asked again. We did. Robbie looked at Miss Zane with an aggrieved expression. I told her many times, and the other students corroborated my story too. Miss Zane knows about it. Charlotte turned to look at Miss Zane. Miss Zane had a remorseful expression on her face. She had wanted to say something, but decided against it when Miss Horner shot her an angry glance. All she did was look at her toes cowardly. Can we even believe them? Luna sneered. It's obvious that they beat up my son. I trust my children because they never lie and won't beat anyone up without reason. Charlotte looked at Timothy. Besides, your son's clothes are still tidy and his hair isn't even messy. He doesn't look like he was roughed up at all. Do we have to wait till he is grievously hurt? Luna retorted. Since we each have our own versions of the story, why don't we check the security footage? Charlotte stood up. The classroom is fully monitored by the security cameras. Wouldn't we know the truth once we review them? Miss Horner was in a dilemma. Miss Horner. Charlotte was angered by her attitude. You didn't even check the security footage. So on what basis do you accuse my son of damaging the car? Since there's no evidence, why are my children being punished? Just because the other party is someone important? Does your kindergarten only serve the rich? Miss Wint, how can you say that? Miss Horner coldly replied. If you're unhappy with our kindergarten, you can choose to leave with your children. That's right, Luna scoffed. On the account that we are relatives, I will let this matter slide if your children leave the school. I will treat the $800,000 compensation as a donation to charity. Compensation? What compensation? Charlotte rebutted angrily. Your son broke your car window, so why do we have to pay for it? I have not even settled the score with you over your son's coloring my daughter's hair, and yet you want my children to leave? I think you should be the one to leave. When did you see my son color your daughter's hair? Luna stood up angrily. Why don't you ask your son? Charlotte stared at Timothy. Timothy was raising his head arrogantly. However, when he saw Charlotte's sharp gaze, he began to waver. Timothy, tell her you didn't do it. Hugging her son, Luna angrily declared, Don't worry. Mommy is here. No one can falsely accuse you. Mommy, Timothy hesitated. At that moment, the office door opened and Mrs. Barry entered with Ellie in tow. Mommy, when Ellie saw Charlotte, she threw herself into her mother's embrace. Tears were streaming down from her almond-shaped eyes while the sound of her sniffling could break anyone's heart. Mommy, Timothy colored my hair with paint. I still can't wash it off even with Mrs. Barry's help. Do I need to cut my hair now? Just as she spoke, tears gushed out like a waterfall. I don't want to cut my hair. I want to keep it long. Charlotte hugged Ellie to comfort her. Ellie, don't worry. Mommy will help you wash it off when we get home. It will definitely come out. Ellie pursed her lips as she sniffled pitifully, with tears strewn all over her face. Eliza, please don't cry anymore. Timothy quickly slid down the sofa and walked towards her. I was just playing with you. I didn't really mean to bully you. Timothy. Luna quickly covered his mouth and stopped him from talking further. Charlotte scoffed and turned towards Miss Horner. Did you hear that? Miss Horner's face was visibly perplexed. She was at a loss for words. Miss Zane added timidly, I did ask the other students, and they admitted that Timothy did color Ellie's hair. However, he didn't do it on purpose. He just wanted to play with her, but she ignored him. That's why he tried to get her attention that way. Shut up. Miss Horner interrupted her and barked. Mr. Sterling is on the school board. Therefore, his son is a distinguished guest of the school. If we anger him, our school will have to close. I'm glad you're aware, Luna sneered. After all, only one of us will remain her. I'll leave if she stays. Your choice. Mrs. Sterling, of course. I hope that you will stay. Miss Horner made her stand clear. Miss Wint, I'm sorry. I'll refund the school fees that you have paid. You will have to find your children another kindergarten. Miss Horner. No. Before Charlotte could finish her sentence, Timothy suddenly freed himself from Luna's hand and rushed toward Miss Horner. You can't let Elisa leave. Timothy. If Elisa leaves, I won't come to school, Timothy yelled at Luna emotionally. Timothy, why are you disobeying me? Luna became desperate. There are so many other children here and many pretty girls too. Why must it be her? I don't care. It has to be her. After he finished screaming, Timothy dashed out. Timothy. Luna and her bodyguard gave chase. Now, there were only Miss Horner, Miss Zane, and Charlotte's family left in the principal's office. All of them were equally stunned. Miss Horner stated awkwardly. Miss Wint, why don't you head home with the children first and let me discuss the matter with the Sterlings? After that, I'll give you a call. Sure, but please give me a copy of the security footage. Charlotte smiled smugly. In case it disappears, the truth will be buried again. Miss Wint, is that necessary? Since Timothy has requested not to let Elisa leave school, the matter can be resolved easily. Miss Horner, Charlotte interrupted the principal. She asserted solemnly, let me be clear. From what Timothy said, it's obvious he is the one who has bullied Ellie and damaged his family's car too. My children did nothing wrong, and yet they were criticized and humiliated by you and the other parent, to the extent we were being kicked out of school. Charlotte continued. Now, it isn't a matter of whether they will look past this. Instead, it's up to me whether I want to let go of this matter. If you don't hand over the security footage, I will then make a police report and let the police come for it. Miss Horner began to panic. She assumed everyone was just as afraid of the Sterlings as she was and would choose to take the humiliation quietly. Little did she expect Charlotte to be someone that's not easily cowed. Miss Wint, please don't be angry. Miss Zane tried to salvage the situation. Let's talk this over. I'm sure we can come to an amicable solution. That's right, let's talk this over. Miss Horner grinned widely. It's just a small conflict between children. Let's just resolve this internally. I'm sure there's no need to get the police involved. Charlotte sneered. If only the other party was reasonable and you handle it fairly, it would have been a trivial matter and not escalated to this extent. Luna was rude and intimidating to my children, and yet you wrongly accused them without any basis. In fact, you even punished them. She added, when the truth was revealed, you chose to bow to their status and influence. You even forced us to leave school. Since you are unable to mete out justice fairly, I have no choice but to seek recompense for my children another way. What do you want? Miss Horner asked impatiently. Simple, Charlotte quipped. Firstly, hand over the security footage to prove my children's innocence. Secondly, get Mrs. Sterling and Timothy to apologize to my children. Thirdly, you and Miss Zane will also have to apologize too. In fact, you will have to announce it to the whole school. Miss Zane and I can apologize to you, but it would be impossible to get Mrs. Sterling and Timothy to do the same, Miss Horner explained matter-of-factly. Your family lives in H City too. Hence, offending the Sterlings does you no good. A word from Mr. Sterling is enough to get you blacklisted. You won't be able to find a job or get them into schools. What are you going to do when that happens? If I can't even protect my children, I'm not fit to be a mother. Charlotte was further infuriated by the principal's words. Since that's your stand, I'll just make a police report. I want to see how powerful the Sterlings are. Just as she spoke, Charlotte took out her phone to call the police. Miss Wint, please don't. Miss Horner was desperate and tried to grab Charlotte's phone. What are you doing? Stop. A loud voice barked from behind. At the same time, a pair of hands pushed Miss Horner away and pulled Charlotte into its embrace. When Charlotte turned around, she saw Hector. He held her tightly in his embrace, just like her protector. She could see the longing and pain in his eyes. At that moment, Charlotte felt emotions swell within her, as if she had returned to the past. Mr. Sterling. Miss Horner widened her eyes in shock and thought that she was seeing things. Your hand. When he saw the cut on Charlotte's hand, Hector furrowed his eyebrows and barked at Miss Horner. What gives you the right to touch her? Miss Horner was so frightened that she felt a chill down her spine. Mr. Sterling, Mrs. Sterling, and Timothy just left. Miss Zane meekly reminded him as she assumed Hector had mistaken Charlotte for Luna. Hearing those words, Charlotte regained her senses. That's right. Hector is married to Luna now and they even have a son. I shouldn't have any more fantasies. With that thought in mind, Charlotte pushed Hector away immediately and stepped to the side. I know. I asked them to head home first. Hector recovered his usual elegant demeanor. Looking at the two children in front of Charlotte, a sudden mix of emotions engulfed his heart. Robbie and Jamie had rushed to protect their mother when Miss Horner confronted her. It was just that Hector beat them to it. At that moment, they stood guard in front of Charlotte with their fists clenched, just like little lions looking at Hector warily. Mommy. In a corner, Ellie, who was being held by Mrs. Barry, widened her watery eyes and stared in fear. Are they your children? Hector looked at Charlotte knowingly. Yes, Charlotte averted her gaze. Will he hate me for my impulsive actions then? Despite his calm exterior, Hector subconsciously clenched his fists. After a brief silence, he told the principal, "Miss Horner, I have seen the security footage, and it was indeed Timothy's fault." Yes, yes. Miss Horner had lost track of what was going on. She could only nod and agree to whatever Hector said. Hector knelt down and gently asked Ellie, "Little girl, did Timothy color your hair with paint?" "Yes," Ellie grumbled with a pout. "He was the one who bullied me, and my two brothers only warned him about it. They didn't hit him. It was he who threw the crystal ball out the window in a fit of anger." "Yes, I know." Hector apologized to her sincerely. "On behalf of my son, Timothy, I would like to say sorry to the three of you and also to your mother." Seeing the scene that had just unfolded before her, Miss Horner and Miss Zane were equally shocked. As for Mrs. Barry, she heaved a sigh of relief. Mr. Sterling hasn't changed. As Charlotte looked at him intently, she realized he was just as gentlemanly and chivalrous as always. "Mommy," Robbie tugged at Charlotte's sleeve and asked softly, "Do we forgive Timothy's dad?" Before Charlotte could reply, Hector added, "When I return home later, I will punish Timothy accordingly. I will also tell Mrs. Sterling to personally apologize to all of you." Miss Horner was stupefied to the extent she felt her head buzzing. She wondered if Charlotte had a powerful background, or perhaps the three children were Hector's illegitimate kids. Furthermore, Hector turned toward Miss Horner, "I have called the school board and told them that you are not suited to manage this school. It's better they look for someone else." "Mr. Sterling." "Miss Horner," Hector interrupted her. "I heard everything that you have just said to Miss Wint. You are right that I can destroy one's future with a single word. However, that person isn't Miss Wint, but you instead. You'd better apologize to them sincerely and leave quietly. Maybe I will consider showing you some mercy," Hector threatened. "Yes." Seeing through the situation, Miss Horner bowed towards Charlotte and her children to apologize. "I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have offended someone of your stature. Until now, you still don't know where you went wrong." Charlotte realized the principal had a deep-seated issue. "Mr. Sterling has dealt with this issue fairly because he is a principled man, not because I have any influence. You are just being sycophantic to those in power and have no decency at all." "Yes, you are right." Miss Horner lowered her head and didn't dare utter another word. Charlotte just looked away and didn't have any more to say. To her, it was pointless to further explain to someone like that. "Just leave," Hector growled. "Please have mercy, Mr. Sterling," Miss Horner pleaded before leaving with her head hung low. As for Miss Zane, whose face was already pale in shock, she asked, "Mr. Sterling, You will be suspended for 1 month and sent for retraining. Once you have the necessary values ingrained in you, you can return to your post," Hector ordered. Thank you. Realizing that she had gotten off with just a slap on the wrist, she quickly thanked him and apologized to the children. "Robbie, Jamie, Ellie, I'm sorry. I failed to protect all of you. Miss Zane." The children watched as their teacher left. Meanwhile, the bodyguards of the Sterlings remained at the door. "Mrs. Barry, it's been a while. How are you?" Hector asked in a very sincere tone. "Good, very good," Mrs. Barry nodded. "It's a wonder you still remember me." "I do, I have always remembered." When Hector said those words, his eyes glanced towards Charlotte. He wanted her to know that he had never forgotten her, and that he remembered everything about her. Charlotte lowered her head as she didn't dare to face him. "Robbie, Jamie, Ellie, let's go to the classroom to get your bags," Mrs. Barry instructed the three children. "Mommy needs to talk to Mr. Sterling about the teachers. She will join us soon." "Mommy," the children looked at Charlotte. "Be good. Go with Mrs. Barry." Charlotte gave each of them a hug. "After getting your bags, wait for me at the school entrance. I'll be there soon." Mm-hmm. The children nodded obediently. With that, Mrs. Barry led the kids away. When he was sure they were out of earshot, Hector asked, "Who is the father?" Charlotte frowned as she felt a massive burden weighing on her heart. She knew that he would ask her that question. How should I answer? The gigolo from then? What would he think of me? Although they were fated to be apart, she still hoped to leave a good impression in his heart. Don't worry. Hector's voice was visibly calm. It's been so many years. Furthermore, it was me who wronged you first. Hence, I have no right to question you. I just want to know who he is. Their father is just an ordinary person. Charlotte toned down the truth. We were already separated. Did you know him after you left H-City? Hector continued his questions. I heard that you stayed in the countryside the whole time. Yes, I knew him then. Charlotte might as well lie. When one is in despair, one always hopes to be protected by someone. Fine. Hector's eyes darkened as he didn't want to hear the details. Are you taking care of them alone? I'm not alone. I still have Mrs. Barry. Charlotte looked up to him and sneered. In fact, I want to congratulate you. In less than a month, you married a hot wife. Now you even have a son. Hector lowered his head and didn't dare look into her eyes. He didn't even know how to explain himself. His reaction made Charlotte feel worse. She really wanted to know why he married Luna soon after they broke up. Based on her understanding of Hector, she was sure he wasn't someone impulsive. There had to be a reason behind his actions. Or perhaps Luna's trap was a long time coming. However, it was too late to change anything. Luna was now Mrs. Sterling, and they even had a child. Hence, she didn't see the point in asking any further. Holding that thought, Charlotte changed the topic. You don't have to get your wife to apologize, as I don't want a conflict. Also, if it's possible, you should transfer your son to a different kindergarten. If we don't see each other, there won't be any interaction. I will arrange it. Hector nodded. What other requests do you have? How would I dare demand anything of you? Charlotte sniggered. After all, I'm just an ordinary citizen, while you are the mighty Mr. Sterling. Lottie, don't call me that. Charlotte interrupted him and coldly asserted, It sounds too intimate. We are no longer related in any way, so we should keep our distance going forward. Do you still hate me? Hector looked at her with a frown. I know it was my family's fault, but I was trying to salvage it then. Why didn't you give me more time and chose to do something so impulsive? When she heard the past being brought up, emotions filled her heart while tears welled in her eyes. It was obvious how devastating her actions were for him. It was my fault, Charlotte replied remorsefully. I've made a mistake, so let's not talk about it anymore. What's done is done. With that, she turned to leave. Lottie, Hector grabbed her hand and stuffed a check in it. You should start a small business and not work as an employee anymore. Holding the check in her hand, Charlotte scoffed. 30 million. It's a lot of money indeed. It seems our memories are worth a lot to you. Lottie, although money is useful, I don't like to receive it in such a shameless manner. Charlotte stuffed the check back into his pocket. Both of us made a mistake then. There's no need to blame each other. Even if we bump into each other next time, we should just pretend that we don't know each other. Are you angry with what happened at Divine Corporation? Hector furrowed his eyebrows. The situation then was... No, I'm not blaming you and don't have the right to do so. Charlotte's smile, wryly. I understand that our statuses are different and you need to mind your reputation. In that case, you should accept my help. I don't want it. Can you not be so stubborn? Hector chided her. You used to be so dignified. How can you take such a menial job? That aside, how much can you make from it? Is it even enough to raise 3 children? At least the money I make comes from my own labor, Charlotte retorted angrily. Even if I'm broke, I'd rather work as a hostess in a nightclub than take your money. Your concern isn't appreciated here. You should save it for your wife instead. Charlotte swept his hand away and stormed off. Watching her back as she walked away, Hector's eyes were filled with sadness. When she reached the exit, she suddenly thought of something and turned around. By the way, if it's possible, please keep it to yourself that I have children. I don't want outsiders to know about their existence. Sure, I know what to do. Hector understood what she was thinking. I will remind Luna not to shoot her mouth off. It seems you understand her well, Charlotte scoffed before leaving. Hector watched her leave with a gloomy expression. Meanwhile, his subordinate Owen came in and lamented, I didn't expect Miss Wint to now have 3 children after not seeing her for a few years. Life is really unpredictable. Hector shot him a fearsome glare. Owen frantically lowered his head and didn't dare say anything further. Go and find out who the father is. Hector felt that the 3 children had good genes, therefore their father cannot be an ordinary country bumpkin. On the way home, Charlotte praised Robbie and Jamie. You boys did the right thing protecting your sister while maintaining a cool head. I am proud of you guys. Mommy, Ellie is our sister, so it's normal for us to protect her. Robbie beat his chest to show what a brave boy he was. If not for the fact Robbie was holding me back, I would have beaten Timothy up. Jamie held up his little fist angrily. Timothy loves to bully Ellie even after I have warned him a few times. He just doesn't listen. He acts with impunity in school because the principal and teachers protect him while the other students fear him. Hence, he thinks that whatever he does is right, Robbie complained indignantly. That's why we have to protect ourselves. We don't bully others and can't allow ourselves to be bullied too, all right? Charlotte lectured them solemnly. We understand, Mommy. Robbie and Jamie nodded in unison. Ellie, you must also learn how to protect yourself. Charlotte hugged Ellie and gently advised, you have your brothers to protect you now, but what if they are not by your side? I know. Ellie pouted her lips and frowned. With a feisty expression, she declared, next time I will be more fierce. I can't just let anyone color my hair as they please. Ellie, it isn't just about having your hair colored, Mrs. Barry laughed. As long as anyone bullies you, you need to put a stop to it. I understand. Ellie nodded in earnest. Good girl. Charlotte tousled Ellie's hair to ease the tension in the air. Today our family had gone through a battle together. By being united, the matter was perfectly resolved. Why don't we go somewhere to celebrate? Yeah, the 3 children jumped in joy. Mommy is the best. Mrs. Barry felt comforted when she saw the children's smiles. Charlotte was someone who had been pampered since she was young. Her father taught her to always be upright and kind, to have a good character and grow up to be happy and healthy. She had passed on this legacy to her children. No matter what happened, she would always protect them. The 5 of them enjoyed their favorite pizza and fried chicken meal. The 3 children had so much to eat that they burped on the way home. By the time Charlotte and Mrs. Barry helped the children wash up and put them to bed, it was already 9 at night. Charlotte took a bath and blow-dried her hair before preparing for bed. Mrs. Barry then brought her some cold medication and warm water. She warmly reminded, don't just focus on caring for the children, you should take care of yourself too. I almost forgot until you mentioned it. Charlotte quickly took her medicine. Thank you, Mrs. Barry. Miss, did Mr. Sterling tell you why he married Luna? Mrs. Barry couldn't help but ask. No, he didn't. Charlotte shook her head. Why didn't you ask him? Mrs. Barry asked anxiously. I feel that Luna has changed, or perhaps she has finally shown her true colors. Even then, I always felt that she was fake. That's all in the past now. Charlotte smiled wryly. No matter what, she is Mrs. Sterling and even bore Hector a son. They are now a family. Hearing those words, Mrs. Barry's expression darkened. She lowered her head and sighed deeply. What a pity, Mr. Sterling, and you were meant to be together. It's just fate. Just as she spoke, she couldn't help but get jolted by her own words. She never liked hearing anyone say those words as it sounded like an excuse for losers. But now she actually said it. Perhaps after going through trial and tribulations in life, she had started to accept the unpredictable nature of life. No matter what, you have 3 beautiful children now. They are a gift from God. Mrs. Barry consoled her. If you managed to meet someone in the future, your life would then be complete. Where am I to find so many? Before Charlotte could finish, she received a notification on her phone. It was $5,000 sent by Gigolo in debt. He is such a good man, Charlotte exclaimed in joy. Huh? You already met one? Mrs. Barry couldn't conceal her excitement. Mrs. Barry, you should rest early. I'm heading back to my room now. After bidding Mrs. Barry good night, Charlotte returned to her room and sent a message to Gigolo in debt. Charlotte, have you started work today? Gigolo in debt. Charlotte, did someone book you for the night? Gigolo in debt. Charlotte replied in glee. Not bad, not bad. You're smart enough to pay up. You have to continue to work hard. It's been a few days and you have only paid me twice. It isn't enough to buy milk. Charlotte quickly deleted the word milk and changed it to food instead. Gigolo. In debt. You have to work hard too. Charlotte. Don't even bring it up. I handed my resignation today. Gigolo. In debt. Charlotte. My boss is just crazy and making my life difficult on purpose. I don't even know what I did to offend him. The moment she thought about the devil, rage swelled within her. He had tormented her terribly today, to the extent her leg was still hurting from climbing the steps. However, the exertions seemed to have caused her cold to improve. Gigolo. In debt. Are you planning to rely on me for your living expenses then? Charlotte. Of course not. With your mediocre sales, what you earn isn't enough for me. I will look for a job tomorrow. Don't worry. Gigolo. In debt. But the job market is bad right now. Charlotte. That's true. Charlotte recalled how she had previously sent out 30 resumes and interviewed at 17 companies. In the end, only Divine Corporation took her in, and that was because Wesley pulled some strings for her. Hence, she began to worry if she could really find a job. Charlotte. Sigh. I'm not sure if I can still go back to Divine Corporation. Since I have not sent in my resignation letter, the HR department might not be on my case yet. Gigolo. In debt. You can try. Charlotte. However, I scolded the boss when I left. I'm sure he won't allow me to come back. Charlotte held her chin as she was now regretting that she quitted her job in a fit of rage today. Although being a security guard was a tiring and lowly job, at least her salary stayed the same. Furthermore, there isn't any other company that's better than Divine Corporation. Gigolo. In debt. Scolding the boss was a big mistake. You really deserved it. Charlotte. What do you know? Do you know how crazy my boss is? Gigolo. In debt. As crazy as you? Charlotte was rendered speechless by his question. As his boss, she realized she was equally crazy too. She forced him to serve 3 fat ladies who weighed a total of 700 pounds combined. She also demanded he look for a few more sugar mommies so that she can increase her cut. Despite that, she only bought a single bottle of virility supplements for him. As his boss, she was both cruel and vicious. Compared to the devil, her behavior had put him to shame. With that thought in mind, Charlotte suddenly felt that the devil wasn't so bad after all. However, she felt she had to stand by her word. Since she rage quit in front of him, there was no going back for her. She didn't believe that she couldn't land a single job in the whole of H City. Unknown to her, that was the unfortunate reality. The next day morning, Charlotte flooded all the companies in H City with her resume. After waiting for 3 consecutive days, she didn't even get a single interview. Feeling anxious, she called them one by one. Finally, the answers she got were they either didn't receive it, not hiring, or she wasn't qualified enough. Finally, she decided to lower herself and look for a job in the mall or retail shops. However, no one wanted to hire her still. She was even rejected to work as a waitress. It felt as if everyone was ganging up on her. Charlotte began to worry as the bills on her living expenses started to pile up. Currently, her only income was from Gigolo in debt, and it was going to run out soon. If she didn't get a job, she wouldn't be able to last through next month. What should I do? That night, Charlotte sent Gigolo in debt a message. "Why haven't you transferred me any money recently? Is business bad?" Now, Gigolo. In debt was her only source of income, causing her to tighten her grip on him. "Charlotte, even if they don't take you for a night, you can accept individual sessions. If that doesn't work, you can try drinking or dancing with them. As long as you make some money." Gigolo. In debt replied after a long time, "Have you gone mad because you're broke?" Charlotte. "Yes, I am broke and I am without a job. I can't put food on the table. At this rate, I can't even pay the rent and would be evicted soon. I don't have a problem with that. But what about my family? I still have little mouths." Gigolo. In debt, little mouths? Charlotte quickly deleted the message, but the gigolo had obviously seen it. She had no choice but to explain, "I have 4 pets at home." Gigolo. In debt. So where did you get the courage to quit your job? Charlotte. It was just an impulsive decision. Gigolo. In debt. It was a stupid move indeed. Charlotte. I know it was a mistake. Although he is crazy, I can still pay my bills. I'm already regretting it now. If God were to give me another chance, I am willing to take back my words. I'm willing to do anything as long as I can get my job back at Divine Corporation. Gigolo. In debt. Are you really willing to do anything? Charlotte. That's right. Next time, no matter how he torments me, I will obey him without question, as long as I can keep my job. Just as Charlotte sent the message, she looked at the bill that Mrs. Barry had passed to her. Today, she had bought a box of milk powder for the children and also sent Fifi to the vet. In total, it cost $4,300. When she saw how little she had left, tears welled up in her eyes. Morality and dignity no longer mattered to her. Gigolo. In debt replied, "That should be the way." Charlotte. I should have the same attitude as you. After all, I realized I have not treated you well, but didn't you bear with it? Although you kicked me out of the car once, you've never go on strike nor quit. With that thought in mind, she felt Gigolo in debt was a lot more dedicated to his work than she was. With her eyebrows still furrowed, her phone suddenly rang. It was from an unknown number. Puzzled as to who it was, she answered, "Hello?" "Hello, are you Charlotte Wint? I am Mr. Collins, manager of the security department at Divine Corporation." "Oh, hello, Mr. Collins. Your new uniform is here. Remember to come to work tomorrow." Huh? Charlotte almost wanted to bring up the fact that she quit, but decided against it in time. She probed. "I was sick that day and there was an emergency at home, so I had to leave early and didn't apply for leave. Did the boss fire me?" It's understandable given that it was an emergency. Divine Corporation is a company that cares for its employees. Hence, we won't fire you over such a small matter. However, you have to remember to stick to the rules. What did the boss say? Do you mean Mr. Knocked? He has 1,000 things on his plate and has no time for trivial matters such as this. Don't worry, just come back to work tomorrow. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. After ending the call, Charlotte was overjoyed. She quickly sent Gigolo in debt a message. Just now, the manager of Divine Corporation's security department called. He asked me to go back to work tomorrow. Ha ha ha! It's really wonderful. I am not unemployed anymore. Gigolo in debt. Congratulations, Charlotte. You're really my lucky star. Not only do you make money for me, but you also even bring me good luck. Gigolo in debt. How are you going to thank me? Charlotte. Thank you. This will be used to offset the time where you kicked me out of the car. We are now even. Charlotte was still angry about the time he chased her out of the car. Charlotte, how dare you abandon your boss on the top of an elevated bridge like that? It's just cruel and unforgivable. Gigolo. In debt. Are you back to being arrogant just because you got your job back? His response sounded exasperated. Charlotte sure knew when to quit and not take it too far. Her job at Divine Corporation pays $8,000 a month, while Gigolo in debt can pay her $5,000 on a good night. Although she needed to maintain her authority as his boss, she knew that she couldn't be unreasonable. In the event he quit, she would be left with nothing. Although there's a contract, I don't think it's going to stand up in a court of law. I should still placate this god of wealth. No, wait. I meant Gigolo of wealth. With that thought in mind, Charlotte quickly appeased him. I'm just kidding. I'll see you in another 2 days and buy you some supplements. However, you mustn't kick me out of the car again. Do you know how terrible it felt that night? Gigolo. In debt. Have you learnt your lesson? Charlotte. Yes. Gigolo. In debt. In that case, you should behave next time. Charlotte was speechless. Did he read too many romance novels? This Gigolo is slowly getting more domineering. Does he think he is acting in a movie called The Domineering Gigolo Falls in Love with Me? Wait, falls in love? Charlotte suddenly remembered the time at Sultry Night where she sold him to 3 rich ladies. At that moment, he was tugging on her sleeve when he declared, "You will regret it if you leave." He is supposed to be used to pleasuring rich ladies and should feel like a fish in water. But why was he so reluctant that night? In the car the other day, when I asked him about being taken in by a sugar mommy and how we were going to split his earnings, he actually became angry and kicked me out. And yet I thought he was angry because I wanted too much. Now that I think of it, I think he must have developed feelings for me and was jealous. That's why he was so angry. Or else, why would he obediently report his income and keep paying me as requested? Despite having signed a contract, there is no way I can really use it to threaten him. No matter what, he has to be a willing participant for the arrangement to work. The more she thought about it, the more anxious Charlotte became. Oh no, I'm in trouble. What am I going to do now that a gigolo has fallen in love with me? It seemed she had no choice but to be professional and to keep a distance from him. At the same time, she endeavored to work hard in Divine Corporation to further her career, so that when she loses her income from the gigolo, she would still be able to support her family. It was imperative for her to win the acknowledgement of the devil. Only then would her job at Divine Corporation be secure. Holding that thought, Charlotte took a deep breath and made a firm decision. From tomorrow onwards, she would endure whatever the devil threw at her. Probably because of the repeated reminders she gave herself, Charlotte dreamt of something shocking in her sleep. In her dream, the devil was kneeling in front of her, holding 999 roses. He declared passionately, "Charlotte, will you marry me?" All the employees at Divine Corporation were cheering for her while her colleagues were urging her on. Say yes to him. Feeling emotional, Charlotte was about to agree before the gigolo appeared in his mask with the 3 children in tow. In a pitiful voice, he pleaded, "Darling, don't abandon me." when she turned to look and saw a pitiful sight. There were 3 milk bottles hung around his neck while his backpack was filled with milk powder. He was holding a bunch of dolls on his left hand and diapers on his right. He looked like the epitome of a poor babysitting father. The 3 children were crying with snot coming out of their nose. "Mommy, Mommy." Behind her, the devil's longing expression changed into one of rage. He grabbed her hand and threatened viciously. "Charlotte, you already have a husband and children, and yet you are trying to cheat me of my feelings? I'm going to kill you." Charlotte was suddenly awoken from her dream. As she opened her eyes, she was panting heavily from the frightening experience. Luckily, it's just a dream. As she wiped the sweat off her forehead, she checked her phone. It was 6:30 in the morning, and Gigolo in debt had just transferred her $5,000. When the thought of him pleasuring a rich and fat lady crossed her mind, she felt bad for taking half of his hard-earned money. In fact, she began to feel like a heartless person. The next morning, Charlotte rushed to her office and was glad she wasn't late. Mr. Collins brought her uniform personally and encouraged her to work hard. After getting changed and putting on her cap, she looked smart and alluring at the same time. The whole group of young security guards were mesmerized, especially David, who blushed at the sight of her. Today, you will follow David on his rounds around the car park as usual. Go quickly, the president's car is almost here, Mr. Collins instructed. Yes. Charlotte brought along an exquisite-looking bag as she followed David. What is that? David asked. You will find out later. Keeping an eye on the car park's entrance, Charlotte finally saw the Rolls-Royce Phantom and quickly hurried to welcome it. Good morning, Mr. Nacht. David opened the door. Good morning, Mr. Nacht. Charlotte raised up a bag with a smile. Your breakfast is ready. Zachary raised his eyebrow and looked at Charlotte with interest. Pizza from Mario's, beef sandwiches from Le Cordon Bleu, hand-brewed coffee from Saint Laurent's. Everything exactly as you ordered, Charlotte cheerfully reported. Mr. Nacht, I have reflected on my incompetence the last time. Last night I called a few restaurants to order the food and picked them up in the morning. Don't worry, these are all the real stuff. I even left the receipts inside. Just as she spoke, Charlotte looked for the receipts inside the bag. You finally understand what's your priority. Zachary smiled smugly. Ha ha, Charlotte grinned mischievously. I was ignorant before this. I hope you will be magnanimous and not hold it against me. Please give me a chance and I promise I will change for the better. I'll reward you based on your performance. Zachary received the bag and handed it to David. Huh? David was stunned as he took it. Meanwhile, Charlotte's expression froze. Before she could regain her senses, Zachary had turned to leave. Ben softly remarked, Mr. Nacht's breakfast is different every day. The menu last time was for Thursday, but today is Friday. He will be having something different. In that case, I've already sent someone to get it, so don't worry. Just focus on doing your job. After he was done, Ben quickly caught up with Zachary. Staring at Zachary's silhouette, Charlotte muttered under her breath, Damn you. At that moment, Zachary entered the elevator and turned around. Charlotte put on her best smile and waved at him respectfully. Mr. Nacht, I wish you a wonderful day. As her expression changed instantly, just like a chameleon, she filled her tone with as much enthusiasm as she possibly could. Lowering his gaze, Zachary smiled smugly as the elevator door closed. When Ben checked Zachary's expression, he heaved a sigh of relief. It looks like today is going to be a wonderful day. Charlotte, do you want to share the breakfast that Mr. Nacht gave me? David carefully probed. Sure, let's go. Charlotte didn't want them to go to waste as she spent $388 on them. After spending so much effort to impress him, he actually gave it to someone else. He's really insensitive. forget it. At least I get to eat them with David. Hence, they're not wasted. While both of them were having breakfast, David asked excitedly, I have never eaten such an expensive breakfast before. It's so beautiful and exquisite that I don't feel like eating them. Eat it while it's hot, or else it will go to waste. Charlotte handed him a beef sandwich. While both of them were enjoying breakfast happily, little did they realize they were being watched. Wesley, who had been demoted to guard the car park entrance, was like a rat in the shadows. He was hiding in a dark corner and spying on Charlotte. There was a malicious look in his eyes. And she caused me to be beaten up by Zachary. Because of her, I was removed from my glorious job as manager of the HR department and relegated to just a security guard at the entrance. Whenever his colleagues saw him, they would look at him in a condescending manner. His friend and subordinates who used to be close to him avoided him like the plague, while his rivals seized upon the opportunity to trample on his dignity. To him, it was all Charlotte's doing. It's delicious. Charlotte finished the last beef sandwich and licked her lips to savor every last bit. No wonder the devil orders food from them. He really has good taste. Shh. David quickly reminded her. The last time you went missing for 3 days, the HR department wanted to sack you. It was Mr. Noct who stopped them. Not only are you ungrateful, but you also even call him names. That isn't right. Huh? Charlotte was surprised. Did you say the devil? I mean, Mr. Noct saved my job? That's right. David explained in earnest what happened that day. After you left and didn't come back, Mr. Collins called you, but you didn't answer. The next day, he had no choice but to inform HR. HR decided that you had to be fired for leaving your station without permission. David continued, When Mr. Collins requested me to get a case form from HR, I bumped into Mr. Ben, the president's assistant there. He instructed the HR manager to retain your position and classify it as if you were on leave. Charlotte was extremely shocked to hear that it was the devil who saved her job. Next time, don't call him names anymore, or else he might fire you for real when he gets angry. Where did you go look for a job? I've worked in a few different companies before and realized Divine Corporation offers the best pay and benefits. Furthermore, there's career progression too. David continued to ramble on with a serious face. However, Charlotte only had one question in her mind. Why did the devil help me? Does he intend to keep me as a toy? So that he can continue to torment me? That has to be it. He really is crazy. But it's okay since I have his attention. It means I'm still of some use to him. Just when she was pondering about it, a car alarm rang out from afar. Charlotte was given a fright, but David was a lot calmer. Perhaps one of the bosses scraped another car while parking, causing the alarm. I'll go take a look. Wait, let's go together. Charlotte quickly packed up the leftovers. You take your time cleaning while I head there first. David was extremely responsible, and he dashed toward where the sound was coming from. After packing up everything and preparing to bin it, Charlotte suddenly felt something like an evil come from her back. She turned around subconsciously. Before she could react, a stake of crates from behind her toppled towards her. Lottie. Along with the shout, a white shadow shot toward her and pulled her into his embrace, shielding her from the crates. When she felt his muscular chest, a familiar sense of warmth and security greeting her. Opening her eyes, she saw Hector's dashing face, and her heart almost melted instantly. Lottie, are you all right? Hector's eyes were filled with gentle concern. Despite his furrowing eyebrows showing the pain he felt, he was more worried about Charlotte's safety. Hector. When she regained her senses, Charlotte realized that Hector was hurt by the crates because he protected her. There was a cut on his forehead and blood was slowly oozing out. His left arm seemed to also be injured as he could hardly move it. She became extremely anxious. You're injured. Did you fracture anything? I'm fine. Mr. Sterling. A few of his bodyguards rushed over. Get the doctor, quick. No, Hector stopped them. We are at Divine Corporation, not Sterling Group. We mustn't cause Mr. Noct any alarm. But you... Mr. Noct, Owen exclaimed. Charlotte looked up and saw Zachary standing in the middle of the corridor, looking at them from afar with an awkward smile. His gaze was as frosty as ice. When Charlotte felt the animosity, she grew inexplicably anxious. After Hector released Charlotte, he stepped to one side and maintained his distance, as if he wanted to avoid any gossip. Mr. Sterling, are you all right? Zachary strolled over casually. Behind him, Ben has instructed the bodyguards to investigate how it happened. I'm fine. It's just a scratch. Despite sweating profusely, Hector maintained his composure with a faint smile. I'm impressed that you have rescued a damsel in distress. Zachary smiled. Although she isn't much of a beauty, I have to thank you on her behalf as her employer. Charlotte furrowed her eyebrows as she felt strange hearing what Zachary said. Please don't say that. It's nothing at all. Hector glanced at Charlotte before saying to Zachary, I was just looking for you. Are you... I've something on, so I'm heading out. Zachary was polite but aloof. Sorry for wasting your time. Hector froze briefly before replying with a smile. No worries. I'll come again when you're free. Zachary grunted in acknowledgement before getting into his car. Hector stood still, feeling extremely awkward. Owen asked softly, Didn't you have an appointment with him? Ignore him. He always behaves this way. When Charlotte saw how Hector was treated, she felt bad for him. Let's go to the hospital. Mr. Sterling. At that moment, Ben came cover and politely explained, Mr. Noct has an urgent matter to attend to today. Shall we make another appointment for next time? Sure, I'll let you know. Hector nodded with a smile. Are you injured? I'll have someone send you to the hospital. Ben waved for the bodyguards to come. I'm fine. I'll manage this myself. Hector replied politely. You should go on. Mr. Noct must be waiting for you. In that case, Mr. Ben, Charlotte used the opportunity to ask Ben. Mr. Sterling was injured trying to save me. I'd like to send him to the hospital. Is that all right? Ben turned to look at Zachary before nodding. Sure. Thank you. Charlotte immediately supported Hector. This time, Hector didn't refuse. What happened? David arrived in a huff. When he saw what happened, he was shocked. Just now, some crates fell down and almost injured me, but Mr. Sterling saved me instead, Charlotte explained. Mr. Ben has given me permission to send Mr. Sterling to the hospital. David, please help me report this to Mr. Collins. Okay, sure. David nodded. Be careful, don't hurt your arm. Charlotte helped Hector into the car. As the Rolls-Royce Phantom passed them by, Hector looked up and saw Zachary giving Charlotte a cold stare. Owen, you drive. The rest of you, take the other car, Hector instructed. Yes, sir. While driving the white Bentley out of the parking lot, Owen couldn't help but reminisce the old times with Charlotte. Miss Wint, it's been such a long time. Do you still remember me? How can I forget? Charlotte laughed and remarked, When Hector and I were dating, you were always behind us. He would always scold you for being the third wheel. Owen laughed heartily. I thought you have forgotten. Hector's voice was as gentle as it was in the past. He looked longingly at Charlotte. Charlotte was jolted and lowered her head. But that's all in the past now. The atmosphere began to feel awkward. Clearing his throat, Owen focused on driving and didn't dare to say another word. Do you and Mr. Noct know each other? Hector was a smart man. Just by observing them, he knew that Zachary was somehow interested in Charlotte. He is my boss. Why wouldn't I know him? It seemed that she didn't think that way. Are you here to talk business with him? With the Sterling Group's current status, you don't need to depend on him, do you? Even if it's a business deal, he should treat you with respect. You don't have to put up with his attitude. It seems like you don't know Mr. Noct well enough. Hector stared at her. Do you only have a professional relationship with him? What else, then? Charlotte frowned. Hector was silent for a moment before he said in an unusually deep voice, He's a dangerous man. You should keep your distance from him. How can a formidable man like him get close to a small fly like me? Charlotte dismissed. You're overthinking this. Good to hear that. Hector seemingly sighed in relief. Didn't I tell you not to work anymore? Why are you now a security guard? Don't intervene in this, Charlotte warned. If it weren't for you saving me, I wouldn't have come out with you alone. All right, I won't continue talking about this then. Hector changed the topic. My son hasn't been going to school recently. He's been in a foul mood because of the transfer. He's young, but he's got a temper. I can't believe he's protesting by going on a hunger strike. Huh? Charlotte was surprised by his words. You better take care of him. Well, I'll just let him be. He'll eat when he can't stand the hunger anymore, Hector sighed. I've been busy with work in recent years, and I don't have much time to keep him company. He's been spoiled by the rest of the family, and that's why he's such a bossy kid now. I really have to teach him a lesson this time. Take it slow. You can't change him in a day. Charlotte felt bad for the boy. Don't rush him about the transfer, and be gentle in your approach. If he really can't take it, it's fine if he doesn't transfer schools. However, he said he's fine with everything but the transfer, Hector commented. I know what you're worried about, and I've talked to Luna. I've told her not to go to school from now on, so the two of you won't be in any conflict anymore. All right, I have no issues then. Charlotte mainly did not want to be in any conflict with Luna. The others were less of a concern for her. After all, he was but a 3-year-old. How bad can he be? You're as considerate as ever. It was a gentle look Hector gave her. We've arrived, Charlotte commented. Is this your private hospital? Yes, this is where Mr. Sterling usually goes for his checkups. Owen drove the car to the entrance, and the security guard was swift to walk over. Mr. Sterling. After Charlotte came down from the car, she helped the injured Hector down. Be careful of your elbow. Darling. All of a sudden, a familiar voice traveled into Charlotte's ears. Turning around, she locked eyes with Luna's surprised ones. Immediately, she retracted her arm from Hector. Charlotte Wint, it's you again. Luna flew over and cursed. You be asteriskitch. You know Hector's already married. Why are you still clinging to him? Aren't you a shameless one? Luna, you've misunderstood the situation. Charlotte frowned and explained. He's injured at our company. That's why. What have I misunderstood? Luna was extremely agitated. I knew nothing good will happen the moment you're back. You must be doing this on purpose. You must have arranged for your kids to be in the same kindergarten as my son, and now you're seducing my husband. How can you be such a B***titch? You know nothing but to steal from others. Luna, shut up, Hector roared. What are you trying to do in public? Darling, you're shouting at me? Luna was starting to tremble. Don't you remember what she's done to you back then? She hired a gigolo from Sultry Night on the day of your engagement, and she embarrassed you in front of everyone. Now, she even has 3 guards with another man. She's nothing but a promiscuous woman. Shut your mouth, Hector slapped her. The slap dumbfounded Luna. She held on to her reddened cheek as she stared at him, incredulous. Did you just slap me? Did you just slap me because of this promiscuous woman? Even Charlotte was stunned by his action. She had never thought the gentle Hector would hit someone. "Owen, send Mrs. Sterling back," Hector ordered in an icy tone. "Sure." Owen hurriedly persuaded, "Mrs. Sterling, don't be angry. You can continue the conversation when you're both at home. Everyone's watching us now." The onlookers had crowded around them, and some were even recording videos. The onlookers adored watching the rich fight. If they were to post their videos online, they would even get followers in their accounts. "Why should I leave? I'm not the one who's an embarrassment," Luna cried out. "Hector, I can't believe you're still defending her until now. Who is your wife?" "Are you done?" Hector interrupted before snapping at Owen. "What are you waiting for? Help her into the car." "Yes, Mr. Sterling." Turning to Luna, Owen muttered, "Mrs. Sterling, let's head back first." "I'm not leaving. Why should I?" Luna refused to relent as she smacked Charlotte with her leather bag. "Such. You're trying to steal my husband, but I won't let you win." Hector promptly stood in front of Charlotte to protect her. At that, anger coursed through Luna's veins even faster. She swung her bag around Hector to hit Charlotte, who was behind him. Meanwhile, Charlotte, who did not wish to waste her time on Luna, turned to leave. Don't go." Luna had wanted to continue beating Charlotte, but she accidentally swung her bag on Hector's injured arm. Hector groaned as his face instantly drained of its colors. Droplets of sweat rolled down from his forehead. "Darling, what's wrong?" It was only then Luna realized her husband was injured. She anxiously asked, "Are you hurt? How did this happen?" A heavy object hit Mr. Sterling's arm. "Let's go to see a doctor first," Owen voiced. Luna then quickly helped Hector into the hospital. A myriad of emotions washed over Charlotte as she looked at them from the cab she was in. In the past, she did not understand the significance of marriage, but now it seemed like she did. This was what marriage was all about. No matter how badly the couple was fighting a moment ago, they would still walk side by side in the next moment. Hector and Luna were the perfect examples. Neither of them could cut ties with each other anymore. On the other hand, she should stay away from them. Soon, lost in her thoughts about Hector, she reached the office. Charlotte only realized she did not have her phone with her when she got off the cab. Fortunately, she had cash with her, so she could pay for the fare. "I must have dropped my phone at the desk in the underground parking lot." Hence, Charlotte went to the security department to look for David. David handed her the phone as he commented, "You've got your head in the clouds. I can't believe you didn't take your phone with you when you left the house. No one can contact you if anything happens." "Thank you. I was worried I lost it." When Charlotte took her phone, she realized the battery had died, so she was quick to charge it. What she did not know was that she had missed out on something major because of it. In the principal's office at Apple Kindergarten, Robbie looked at the few mysterious men in suits without a hint of fear on his face. In fact, he even tilted his chin up and scoffed. "It's illegal to kidnap children." Ben could not help but laugh as he turned to Zachary behind him. "Mr. Noct, this boy is quite like you." "Be serious." Zachary lowered his eyes as he sipped on his tea. "Of course." Ben then crouched in front of Robbie and gently said, "Boy, don't be scared. We're not bad guys. Otherwise, your teacher and principal won't bring you to us, right?" Robbie stole a glance at the trembling principal and teacher, who had just started working in the kindergarten recently. He lifted a brow and uttered, "Speak. What do you want?" "This is what we want." Ben trailed off, realizing he should speak in a simpler way with the child. Hence, he raised his pitch and murmured, "Did you Mommy and Daddy take you to Grand Plaza last Sunday?" "What are you trying to say?" Robbie furrowed his brows as an impatient look crept upon his handsome face. "I'm not a 2-year-old. You don't need to talk to me as if I'm a baby. It sounds horrible." Ben was rendered speechless as the corner of his mouth twitched. Beside him, the bodyguard could not help but snort at the boy's words. What a crafty boy. Finally, Zachary, who was behind the screen, raised his head to look at them. He was short, but he carried himself with great pride. The boy's handsome face made Zachary wonder where he had seen this face in the past. The boy's clear eyes, full of wariness and wit, were fixed on Zachary. "Who is he?" Robbie pointed at Zachary. "He's our boss." Ben then said, "Boy, did you meet a man in black at the playground in the basement level of Grand Plaza? Did he give a pretty silver box to you? Like this one." Ben unlocked his phone and was about to show Robbie the photo when Robbie huffed, "No." He did not even look at the photo, choosing to turn his head to the side. "Hold on, look at it first." "It's a no even if I look at it." Robbie folded his arm and asserted, "I have a great memory, and I never forget anything I see. I have never met anyone in black, and no one gave me anything. You've made a mistake. Kid, it's not right to lie." Ben had now put on a stern look. "That man in black is a thief. He stole something from us, and that something is very important to us." Robbie raised his brows as he replied calmly, "You should look for the cops if you've lost something. The man in black gave it to you. If you give it back to me, I'll reward you, but if you don't—" "I said, nothing like this ever happened," Robbie interrupted. He questioned the man instead. If it's something so important, why would the man give it to a kid? This isn't logical at all. His words rendered Ben speechless. The man took in a deep breath before he clicked on to the security footage on his phone. "Look, this is you, right?" Robbie peeked at it, disinterested. He looked away, but his gaze returned to the screen. Registering what was on the screen, he froze. In the video, a man in black rushed out of the restroom and knocked into the child in front of him. The child's hands were in his pocket, and he was strolling. On his shoulder was a small green parrot. Isn't that Jamie and Fifi? Although everything happened in less than a minute, Robbie noticed the man shoving something into Jamie's pocket. You might not see it clearly. Let me slow it down for you. Ben then adjusted the speed of the video and zoomed into the man's hand. In the video, the man's hand slowly placed a small silver box into the boy's pocket. You don't need to slow it down. I can see it clearly. Robbie nimbly changed the video back to its normal speed. Then, several men in suits rushed after him and the man in black escaped. The boy stood rooted to the ground for a while before he took out the small box from his pocket. When he opened it, he took out a small golden chip. Just as he was observing the chip, the parrot on his shoulder suddenly swallowed the chip. He promptly hit the parrot, wanting it to spit it out. Right then, Ellie rushed to him. So Jamie was telling the truth, Robbie mumbled as he held his chin. What? Ben did not hear his words clearly. He hurriedly asked, Kid, you're the boy in the video, right? Where's the golden chip now? That isn't me. Robbie nearly told him it was his younger brother. However, the gears in his head turned, and he warily questioned, How would I know if you're not bad guys? Kid, if you're not going to cooperate with me, I'm going to talk to your parents. Ben glanced at Zachary behind him and knew his boss was running out of patience. I'd say you'll be better off talking to the cops, Robbie reasoned. If the cops show me the papers, I'll help you look for the chip. The boy is mature for his age, one of the bodyguards sighed. Ben stood up and asked the principal beside him, Miss Longman, have you contacted his parents? I'm sorry, I've been calling over 10 times, but her phone is switched off. I'm still trying to call her, Miss Longman nervously uttered. I've just been transferred here, and I'm not familiar with the students yet, but I'll give you my full cooperation. Mr. Noct, can you show me the video? Lexi asked tentatively. Ben then handed her the phone. After looking at the video, Lexi remarked, This boy isn't Robbie, it's Jamie. Although they look identical, they carry themselves differently. Jamie? Ben was stunned. Are they twins? They're triplets, Lexi explained. The oldest is Robbie and the middle child is Jamie. These two look the same. The youngest is a girl called Ellie. Ellie should be the kid who came up our car chasing after the parrot the last time. Ben finally realized what was going on. I was wondering why both kids have parrots. They come from the same family. Hurry up and bring Jamie here, Miss Longman instructed Lexi. Jamie's is in the field now. I'll look for him right away. Lexi hurried out. Miss Longman then crouched down and patiently said to Robbie, Robbie, trust me. They're not bad guys. If you know where the chip is, just tell them, all right? Robbie was already hesitating by now. If the man in black really gave the chip to Jamie, that meant these people were not lying. If they were not lying, that meant they were not evil. Kid, Ben started, the blueprint for our company's new technology is in that chip, but the bad guy has stolen our chip. If we can't get it back, someone will use our blueprint. Not only will our company suffer a loss, but it'll also cause trouble in the public. All right. In the end, Robbie chose to believe them. He raised his head and uttered seriously, Fifi ate that chip, but it hasn't pooped it out yet. When it poops it out, I can give it back to you. What do you mean? Can you say that again? Ben urged. Who is Fifi? You're dumb. Fifi's our pet parrot. You're dumb. Fifi's our pet parrot. Those words were spoken at the same time, just in different places. Those were the words Jamie said to the man in black at a corner of the field. Do you mean your pet parrot ate the chip? The man's brows were knitted. That's right. Jamie nodded. Then he continued in great detail. It lost its appetite after eating the chip, and it's been depressed too. Moreover, it keeps plucking its own feathers. Mommy, Mrs. Barry, Robbie, Ellie, and I brought it to the vet, and the vet said it has indigestion. So he gave Fifi some medication and said it'll be all fine once it poops. That's why I'm watching it poop every day. I wonder if it'll poop that golden thingy out. Well, has it pooped it out? The man questioned. Jamie took out a box from his bag and handed it to him. Take a look for yourself. The man then took it and opened the box. In it was a beautifully wrapped package. Delighted, he promptly tore the package. It was another layer beneath the first layer. Sweating buckets, he continued to tear through the layers until there were none left. When he pulled the last layer away, he found a pile of poop. What? This. The man stared at the pile of feces as the corner of his mouth twitched. I'm scared it'll poop it out while I'm not home, and Mrs. Barry will throw the poop and the golden thingy away, so I've been wrapping its poop every morning. Then I'll check the poop when I'm in school. As he spoke, Jamie grabbed a stick from under the tree and crouched down. He then started checking the pile of feces. Move aside. I'll do it. Looking at Jamie's slow actions, the man snatched his twig and started stabbing the feces. In a few seconds, he broke the stick. What? The man's jaw hung slack. Zahira, you're troublesome. Now, Jamie had to look for another twig. Unable to wait any longer, the man started digging through the feces with his bare hands. Other than several undigested seeds, nothing else was in the feces. Immediately, the man's expression was as dark as a stormy sky. He glared at Jamie and snarled, Are you messing with me? Oh no, it looks like it hasn't pooped it out yet. Jamie sighed as he leaned his plump chin on his palm. Come again tomorrow. I'll bring Fifi's fresh poop to school tomorrow. Remember to bring tongs. It's much better than twigs. The man's entire face was twitching as if he was having a stroke. He clenched his hands into fists. If the boy in front of him was not a 3-year-old, he would have strangled him there and then. What's wrong? Jamie asked in an innocent voice. He waved his hands in front of the man's eyes and queried, Did you get overwhelmed by the smell of poop? The man breathed in deeply, tamping down the murderous aura that threatened to spill from him. Trying his best to look friendly, he asked, "Boy, where's the parrot? Bring me to it." "Of course it's at home," Jamie blurted out. Then he stared at the man in front of him. "Wait, you're not the man from earlier." This man in front of him looked ferocious, like a villain. However, he looked similar to that man, and he was in the same clothes. Furthermore, he recalled the incident in great detail, and that was why Jamie thought they were the same person. "Part has been caught. I'm his brother, Tigress." The man grabbed Jamie and started striding toward the back gate. "Don't worry. As long as you give me the chip, I won't hurt you." "Let me go." Jamie started struggling and kicking. "I can't bring you home." "Brat, stop making a fuss," Tigress growled. Just then, he spotted the Knox car. "It looks they're already here. I have to find the chip before them, or else it'll be disastrous for me." Tigress hurriedly sped toward the back gate with Jamie in his arms. "Jamie," came a sudden soft voice. When Ellie saw Jamie grabbed by a man in black, she rushed after them. "Ellie, run quickly." Jamie waved at her, gesturing for her to stop following them. "Evil man, where are you bringing Jamie to? I'm going to tell the teacher." Ellie stomped her feet onto the ground and spread out her arms to stop them. On her baby face was a fierce expression. "This is troublesome." To make sure he would escape unnoticed, Tigress took Ellie along as well. In each of his arms was a child, and it was as though he was stealing chicks. "Let me go! Let me go!" The two kept struggling and yelling. To ensure no one heard them, Tigress taped their mouths and brought them out of the kindergarten. When he reached his car, he shoved the two children into it. After locking the door, Tigress undid the tape on Jamie's mouth and threatened, "As long as you bring me to the parrot, I'll let you two go. Otherwise, I'll feed your sister to the sharks." "You..." Jamie gritted his teeth, but when he looked at Ellie's tearful eyes, he nodded. "Fine, I'll bring you to Fifi." At Divine Corporation's security department. After patrolling with David, Charlotte could finally switch on her phone. When the screen lit up, she saw dozens of missed calls from the kindergarten. Shocked, she hurriedly returned the call. Saying, "Hello? Hello, is this Apple Kindergarten? I'm Robinson, Jameson, and Elisa Wint's mother. You've been calling me many times. What happened?" "Miss Wint, it's about..." Bad news. Before Miss Longman could finish her words, Lexi rushed in and said, "Jamie and Ellie have been kidnapped.